Greetings, fellow investigators, and welcome to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where my friends and I play the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. I'm your host, Tom Rayleigh. The scenario is Saturnine Chalice. It was written by Matthew Sanderson, and it's included in a collection called Deadlight and Other Dark Turns. I am the game master, and this is a 4-hour one-shot. This is also the 5th version that we've done of this. That being said, let's begin our journey into the darkness. It's springtime in Arkham, May 4th, and your semester break is here. You and your colleagues have decided to travel to Ottawa, Canada for a symposium you have some interest in. It's titled Ancient Civilizations and Their Understanding of Time and Space. Rumor has it that Niles Bohr himself will be attending. Your plan is to arrive a day early and have a look around. You are currently at the Miskatonic planning for tomorrow morning's trip. So, have at it.
Gentlemen, good morning. Are you all packed and ready for the trip?
Good morning. I have everything. Yes, I'm doing all right. How are you, Virgil?
Not bad at all. Life's wonderful, beautiful spring weather. What's there not to love?
Exactly. I agree wholeheartedly.
Excellent. There you are.
Yes. Hello, gentlemen. Good to see you.
Good morning.
Morning. Ready for the trip.
Oh, I'm excited.
Well, whose car are we taking? As you know, I'm not the world's best driver after that last little accident.
If you don't mind me speaking, I mean, I've got my car available here. I brought it to the university just yesterday.
Dakota, didn't see you there. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing fine, Professor Zool.
Excellent.
Where's
Benny around? There you are, Benny.
Yeah. Hope you all have some papers to grade for the trip. I know I sure do.
Oh, that's for my research assistants and my teaching assistants. I trust them well enough.
I've got plenty to grade too, and I'm pretty sure that the Walker boy that always sleeps in my class will understand what this F is coming towards him is meaning.
So it's for fortitude. I'm sure he'll try better next time. So, Dakota, you're kind enough to offer us your ride.
Yes. If you want, it's right out here out front. We can definitely get the bags loaded and head on our way as soon as we're ready to go.
Absolutely. I am excited beyond compare for the trip. I understand, a lot of luminaries are going to be attending.
Yes, but even Niles Bohr, perhaps. Rub shoulders with the best.
Wow. Yes, I heard that as well. That's most exciting. Mind blowing that Niles Bohr might show up.
Absolutely, and understanding better how the peoples of ancient history, if you will, understand or misinterpret from time to time their understanding of reality is such fascinating. The same species, humans, having such drastic misunderstandings or interpretations of time and space. Fascinating.
Right, and it's interesting that I feel like a number of different luminaries will be coming together. Like as you said, we've got ancient civilizations, space, time, all these things. I have a person in my class we talk about a number of things. The ancient cultures and how they viewed the stars, and how even though they had a skewed idea of the way the cosmic bodies were aligned, they could still construct sites that lined up with the solstices. I mean, that's remarkable that they had that sort of wherewithal, even in their misunderstanding of the cosmos at the time.
Oh, absolutely.
And then to combine that with a variety of different worships and things we categorize as occult these days makes this whole area fascinating for me.
Right, and really just how it all comes together that, as you were saying, those worships are a function of the societies and cultures, and based on their geographic locations with shorter seasons, longer seasons, you take on such drastic interpretations of what's good and bad. Is rain good? Is sun good? All such fascinating concepts. Of course, I'm sure other friends among us are more interested in the warfare aspect of it.
Oh, you read my mind greatly. But as far as the religious part to it, I would like to figure that out more. I just recently found more different talismans that the Greek soldiers carried on them that represented Ares. So I'm very interested to see how other civilizations handled that kind of situation during warfare times.
Absolutely. Like, are soldiers worshippers of a god of war or perhaps a god of the homestead? Depending again on interpretation. Fascinating. Well, I guess.
Do you have drawings of those medallions? Perhaps I could look at them while we're on our trip.
I do. Hold on one second. Let me check my notebook here real quick. Here we go. This was just a recent photo from my last trip here for you, sir, as well as some hand drawings that I've done in my notebook here as well. And I'm going to show those to him.
Grant, thank you. Beautiful rendering.
So it takes you about a half an hour to pack the car. You've probably got some snacks, some sandwiches for the trip. It's going to take, a while, quite a few hours to drive all the way to Ottawa from Arkham. But you've got a fairly good idea of which direction you want to go. You don't really want to go all the way up to Montreal and then over. You don't really want to go to Syracuse, but you'll find your way. There's a lot of roads that head in the direction of Ottawa. So you pack up your stuff and you head on out. You travel for a few hours without any trouble at all. The day goes on, and somewhere around 2 in the afternoon or so, you are on a back road. You left the town of Sonarac Lake about 30 minutes ago. It's about maybe 24 miles behind you. Who's driving? Oh, Professor Dakota, it's your car. Are you driving?
Yes, I would be driving the vehicle.
You guys are out in the countryside as you're driving along a road. For a while now, you haven't seen any other cars. And as you're driving, you guys are having an interesting conversation when suddenly the car begins to sputter.
What is going on with this thing? This never acts like this. Hold on, maybe it's just a gear shift or something. And I'm going to try to mess with the gear shift on the car and see if it popped out.
Well, it's still in gear, and it goes for a couple more seconds, and then it sputters again. And you're looking at the gas gauge, and it's showing about 3/4 full. But for some reason, you lean forward and you wrap your knuckle on it, and when you do, it goes all the way down to 0. And as that happens, your car starts sputtering coming to a halt.
The blazes?
Everything all right there, Dakota?
It looks like we might be out of fuel. I don't know how that could be, but I guess the gauge must have stopped working, and I wasn't able to see that the car was running out.
Well, that's no good. I think the closest town is probably 20 miles back. That's a decent walk.
I know. Let me just check the trunk real quick, make sure I don't have an extra canister or anything on me. Just wait in the car, all right? I'm going to step out of the car and move around to the back to where our luggage is and crack it open and take a look and see.
Yeah, you don't have any gas can or anything like that in there.
Crap. I must have forgotten it.
Now,
Yes.
I mean, you filled up, a while back, but your car shouldn't be out of gas. Something must be wrong. Maybe it's leaking.
I step up back towards I close the trunk and I step back up towards the front of the car, and I'll go ahead and pop the hood on the side and take a look inside and see if I see anything out of place or leaking whatsoever.
Do you have any mechanical engineering?
It's a great question. No, not really.
When I see him pop the hood, I'll get out. I have some mechanical repair.
Because you're doing what my dad would do. He would stare at it.
All right. Okay.
I get out as well and step away and smoke a pipe.
I get out and I'll walk to the front. I was like, I feel like we shouldn't be out of gas yet. Is there? You kind of peek my head in. Do you have a leakage or something here?
I'll join Maxim and grab a smoke while the more equipped gentlemen are dealing with the mechanical issues.
You don't see any dripping gas or anything. There doesn't seem to be a leak. Professor Maxim and Professor Virgil, you've stepped over to the side and you're smoking. Do a spot hidden for me.
99. I see nothing.
Too excited for the show. You can't think of anything else.
Yes. Oh,
I also failed.
Great.
Okay. Professor Feeker, what are you doing?
I was actually gonna while they're doing that and you're taking a look at the car. Do we have? I assume we have some sort of a rough map, maybe not of this exact area, but of kind of where we're going.
Well, yes and no. You have the major roads, but you guys have kind of struck out,
right?
Kind of going in a direct line towards Ottawa, but the main roads, the main thoroughfares go to Montreal or Syracuse. Right. So you wanted to go this way. All of these little roads are not on the map,
right?
But
and
you know roughly.
Yeah, so basically, I do happen to have navigate astronomy and natural world, so I'm hoping to maybe do a combination just to see if I can determine roughly where I think we are on the map, if it's a better idea for us to hike forward to the next town or go back to the next town if you have to get gas.
Well, easily enough, you haven't seen any homesteads or anything behind you.
Right.
For 24 miles. Average walking speed is 3 miles an hour, so it would take you hours and hours and hours to walk back to.
Right. So I mean, can I?
Sonarac Lake.
Yeah. So would that be a roll, or can I kind of determine that going forward is our best bet?
Go ahead and do a roll.
Yeah. Okay. So I got it's a 73. So I got a pass on astronomy, but not navigate, unfortunately.
Okay. Well. Just sort of guessing, if you're making your best guess, you're probably closer to the highway, to the Canadian border than you are to the town that you passed through. So there's probably something more likely up ahead of you.
Yeah. So kind of, after a few moments, I'll kind of pipe to the others. Will be like, all right, kind of looking here, kind of don't exactly know where we are, but I'm kind of judging based on, I see that, this particular star over here. So I think we're closer to the border than, obviously like we said, it's 20, at least 20 miles back from the last town. So I think going forward might be our best bet, boys.
If we look back at the, our, I guess, path coming here, our trail, do we see like gas leaks or like anything?
No, you don't.
Huh.
Yeah, so I'd get my head back up out from under the hood. It's like, well, I've worked on more tractors than anything in my life, but I can't see anything that's just sticking out that's wrong with the vehicle here.
I apologize. I mean, I don't know much about cars. I normally have people driving me out to a site, and I'm not normally driving myself. So honestly, whenever I'm stateside like this, I normally just bring it to a guy at a shop and just leave it there. So I have no idea either what it could be.
Professor Benny, do a spot hidden.
Sure. No, that's a fail. Or I guess I could spend. I'll spend the 6 luck to make it a regular success.
Okay. So you're deliberating. Do we go forward? Do we go back? Do we go
Right.
forward and back? And as a result, you're walking around the car and you're walking, just sort of trying to get your bearings on everything. And it just so happens that you notice down the road up ahead, you think you see a gate.
Oh,
Like one of those big fancy sort of gates.
yeah. I'm like, hey, gents, is that a gate? I mean, I hate to walk up on a private residence, but it might be worth a shot. See if we have any good Samaritans around.
Yeah, I turn and look in the direction.
I look up as well.
Yeah, it's
I guess it looks.
maybe 300 feet away down the road, but it does look like a gate, for a piece of property or an estate, something like that.
Well, that's surely a shorter walk than going backwards to that last little town we were in.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Maybe they have gas or a truck that can take us back that way at least. I'm sure we won't be imposing too much. It's just early afternoon still.
Seems like they're, well dispositioned, or at least the size of the house appears that way, or the gate. I'm sure they could afford, a ride maybe for us, or, at least render us some aid. Absolutely.
Well, here, let me just make sure that the car is locked up and the trunk is secured with our belongings, and then let's hoof over there and see if anyone, if we could see a house or go talk to anyone.
Did you have the top up or down when you were driving? It's probably a little chilly. You probably had it up.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because the sky all day has been kind of gloomy. It is May. You can still get a lot of rain and snow. Not a lot of snow, but a lot of rain. So yeah, you lock it up. You kind of push it over onto the side of the road so that if anybody else comes, they don't accidentally crash into it. And then are you going to walk up the road?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So you walk up the road. I said it's like about 300 feet. And there is not a wall around the property, but there is a kind of drive gate, and it's not really a gate. It's an arch, And at the top of the arch, there is a big W. And what you can see looking down the road, there's a long straight road going into the property, and then it seems to branch out in two directions. And then there are some structures back there, and you can see there's a big house kind of in the middle. You'd think maybe Victorian or Edwardian style, which in the 1920s is just a little out of style. It's from last
Does the house
century.
look well maintained, or is it more dilapidated?
Well, it's a little far away. So it's white. It's painted white. So it's not like elaborately painted like like some Victorian houses are. But do you go through the gate?
The gate doesn't look like noticeably in disrepair or anything, right?
It looks old. I mean, the style of everything is kind of old, but it doesn't look like it's in disrepair.
Yes,
maintain,
gentlemen,
maybe?
let's head up to the house.
Onward and upward.
I mean, at worst, they're just going to tell us to get off their property and
Right, and then we kindly leave and start our walk further.
Right.
Best
So
case,
yeah. I walk right up to the gate and I go ahead and try to push it open, see if it opens.
There's not actually a gate. I keep saying gate, but it's just an archway over the property.
Like an entryway for the road.
Right,
Gotcha.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, for the property.
I wonder what that W stands for. Maybe is the name of the residence here.
Ah, yeah.
So as you are walking forward, you can sort of see that the property is laid out in a big circle. Okay. The house sits in the center, and there are some buildings around the outside. You don't know the name yet, but you will in a couple seconds. So I'm going to show you a map of the property, which has the name on it. This is the way it's laid out. It's got the house in the center. It looks like, on glance, it's got little gardens around it. It looks like there is a barn or maybe a stable on one side. It looks like there is some sort of a monument, like, maybe a mausoleum for the family plot. And it looks like, well, you can't really see it from here, but there's a well out in the back of the property as you are walking up towards the door.
And am I correct from assuming from the way the map reads, just kind of like by looking at the North Star, it looks like the circle, the house kind of lined up perfectly north, and then the two buildings are northeast and northwest, almost perfectly on a cardinal direction. Yeah. I'll sort of make note of like, wow, this is very well built, that lines up perfectly with the, north and, northeast and northwest.
Very geometric, eh?
Yeah, indeed.
So that's what you're looking at as you're going up towards the house. I would like you to do a spot hidden as you guys are approaching the house.
I failed.
James Bond.
Regular fail.
I succeeded with a hard success.
I failed.
So Martin's Maxim's the only one. Then.
Oh no, 007.
Oh, you got a 007 too.
Yeah.
So Maxim and Virgil, you're walking up towards the house. You're very aware of the sound that your feet make on the gravel path as it sort of crunch, 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 crunch. And suddenly, Professor Zool, you grab Maxim because looking out the window on the porch, there's a man, and he is as white as a ghost.
My God, Maxim, look at that.
Goodness. I wonder what's wrong with him.
It takes you a moment to realize that what you're actually looking at is a statue in the window.
Oh, it fooled us.
Oh, such a lifelike bus. Wow. Gentlemen, look at that.
Oh,
Well,
that's a
that's
good
an
one.
interesting place to put a statue.
Maybe for security reasons, in case they're not at the house.
It could be, I suppose, in the dark, that would give the impression that someone is standing there. If it's not well lit, could ward off a potential house burglar.
Now,
So-
I know this is shop talk, but I wonder if it's also symbolic in some way. I know ancient cultures put fearsome, symbols in front of doors to ward off evil.
Or perhaps the residents of the home don't want to see that face all day. It does look rather grim.
Yeah, well, it's interesting you mentioned that. Actually, I do believe that many of the indigenous peoples of the Americas actually believed that you shouldn't look out windows and open things like that into the night, because what are you trying to see?
Oh, absolutely. You look into the abyss might look back at you.
Indeed.
So what do y'all do?
Here, let's see if someone's home. I don't
Yeah.
see anyone looking at us coming out. So I
Maybe knock
go
on the
ahead.
door.
I proceed to walk up the steps, and I'll go ahead and rap on the door very lightly. Rap on the door. I go, hello? Anyone here?
Okay, you knock on the door, and for a moment, somewhere inside the door, you hear kind of an odd metallic clanking, and you hear a voice inside. Oh, one moment, please. Just if you don't mind, just go ahead and open the door.
Okay. I go ahead and proceed to take the handle, and I push the door in,
Yeah,
and I go,
it's not locked.
enter into it, and I go, I having a bit of car trouble down the road.
What you see as you open the door is there is a gentleman. He looks older. He is standing on a metal ladder in the foyer, and he is working on a big chandelier that's hanging from the ceiling. It looks like he's dusting it, but it's brightly lit. And he says, "Oh, please do come in. Are you one of the master's guests for the evening?"
Well, no. We're a group of professors going to a symposium, and unfortunately, we had some car trouble along the way. So we were looking to see if we could borrow a phone or
trouble. Yeah, it's just a moment. And he winds up his cloth and he starts climbing down the ladder. Yes, do forgive me. Jeremy Linwood. He shakes your hand. I'm the butler here at the Wayland Estate. So you're not guests, but you said you had car trouble.
Yes, sir. Just up the road. A bit of an issue with the gas gauge, and unfortunately, we're out of gas.
Oh, I see. Well then, please come inside. It's rather chilly outside.
I turn around to the others. This is the butler. He's saying that we can come in and get out of the cold. So come on in, gentlemen.
Oh, absolutely. It is a bit chilly. So I walk in, take off my hat. Hello there, my friend.
Salutations.
Good evening.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well,
sir.
let me see what I can do for you. We are preparing for an event tonight. Guests, I didn't expect any guests this early, but please come inside. I'd like you all to do spot hiddens, though.
Oh, I succeeded that one. Third time's the charm.
Yeah.
Another fail.
Regular successes or better?
Just regular.
Just regular? Okay. There's something that seems kind of a little odd in the foyer. Can't quite put your finger on it. He was dusting, and it does seem a little dusty in places. But you're not sure why you get the odd feeling. But we'll come back to that maybe at some future moment. And he says, well, gentlemen, please, I'd like you to come inside. There's a... where is it? Just one moment. There's a lounge right here next to just off the foyer. If you'll wait inside here, I'll inform Mr. Wayland, and we'll see if we can find you some gasoline.
Thank you so much.
Perfect.
Thank you.
By the way, Jeremiah, who is that fearsome, visage on that statue over there?
Oh, the statue is Mr. Wayland.
Oh,
yes.
My.
So he opens up the door, and in fact, it's like a little parlor. There's one wall is lined with books. There are some paintings on the wall. There's a fireplace with a nice bright fire. And there's some chairs and some like a sofa and a coffee table. Everything is very warm and sort of in muted red tones and oriental carpet on the floor. And as he excuses himself and leaves, that statue, the bust, is sitting there. Yeah, it's turned looking out the window rather oddly. And you can see as you sort of glance at it that it's the same face as the main painting up above the fireplace. Well, apparently is a Mr. Wayland.
Well, evidently this gent likes to see himself. But it's nice to see a well-run house with a butler in the countryside like this.
Absolutely. How good is the quality of the painting? Is it like an amateur painting, or does it look?
No, it looks like a professional probably painted it.
Look at that painting. That's the brush strokes, the way that is layered. Fascinating. This is quality work.
It's obvious this person has money. Lots of woodwork, lots of the furniture is fine furniture. The oriental carpet is beautiful.
I walk up to the bust of the master of this house, and I kind of want to take a look at the sight line as to where it's like looking at, if it's looking at something specific outside.
Well, you kind of line your head up and look out the window, like what's it staring at? You don't see anything in particular. It just seems to be looking towards the front of the property, towards the path that you guys walked up.
Interesting. Just simply probably meant to either scare off vagrants or simply maybe even scare me when I approach the house. But this Master Wayland is a very interesting fellow.
Quite fond of himself, it seems.
Aren't we all sometimes? Aren't we all?
Professor Dakota, do a spot hidden.
Fail.
So there's a moment when you're all alone in the room, sort of looking around at the knickknacks and things that he has. A woman dressed as a maid comes walking into the room, and she has like a tray of refreshments. And she introduces herself. Hello, my name is Rosemarie Lindwood. Picture.
Stand up, ma'am.
Hello, ma'am.
I'm Jeremiah's wife. And she says, I thought you might like some tea.
Oh,
yes, thank you.
I'm dying for some tea.
Do you mind if we smoke in here, or is there a smoking room?
Oh, you can smoke.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Honored to make your acquaintance.
And she gives you, little cups of tea. And a few moments later, and Jeremiah comes back, and he says, well, Mr. Wayland said that we could take a look around. There might be some out in the garage with the Duesenberg. If not, we can call into Centerac Lake and see if we can get them to send stuff out. That's where we usually get our groceries from, and they drive it out here. Or if you need a mechanic, we can see if we can find a mechanic and have him come out too.
Tell me, Jeremiah, are there other mansions or estates around here, or is it really just your master here?
Not for a while. The Waylands have always liked their privacy.
Well,
they actually own quite a lot of the land out here. This is just the homestead area. The woods all around, they own those as well. You said your car is nearby, down the road somewhere?
Yeah, yes, just right outside of the entrance to the road that leads to your property here.
Well, Mr. Wayland said that you should feel free to make yourselves at home. If one of you will accompany, we can go out to the barn and see if we can find some gasoline. The only thing that he asks is their private residences are upstairs. So he'd like you not to go up there, of course, but there is a library next door, and of course the dining room for later. If we can't resolve your issues, I'm sure he'll put you up for the evening if you need to be put up. And certainly you can join us for the party.
Well, thank you so much, Jeremiah. I'll come with you and attend with you to the barn to see if I can see anything. Excellent. I'm worried that our issue might be more than gas, but we'll see.
Oh, let's hope it's not so serious.
Do you have a vehicle around here too? Maybe
we have a Duesenberg, though.
Oh, right.
We don't drive very often. It's been some time. As I say, we usually have the market bring the food out here. We're not much in the way of travelers.
Absolutely. Imagine if there could be services in the future where they bring food and groceries to you through the phone. Marvelous.
They do. You call them and they bring it.
Fair enough.
All right. So Professor Dakota and Jeremiah are going to head outside and walk over towards the barn. What would the rest of you like to do?
I'm very interested in finding the library.
I think
a man as wealthy as this might have quite the interesting collection.
Indeed.
Yeah, I agree. I'd also like to find some more tea. Haven't had tea this good since I moved up from the South.
All right. You move into you start wandering around, and there's obviously a water closet nearby if you need to freshen up. There is a dining room across the hall with big doors that open, and it looks like they've been setting it for, looks like a fairly large party, maybe 14, 15 people. Right next to the parlor is another double door that opens into what looks like the library. And you step inside. Once again, it's not huge, but it's cozy. And there's floor to ceiling books on all the floors. And there's a big lectern in the corner. And there's another fireplace that's burning brightly. And a number of books that seem to have been left out, on a table next to the places to sit. It all looks very comfortable.
Any interesting titles that, I'll see if I do like a library use or a spot hidden?
Yeah, go ahead.
Which one, spot hidden or library use?
You can do library use.
Okay. I'm actually good at that.
Should we also roll that, or?
If you want to. I mean,
6 over 50, so extreme.
Okay.
I failed. I'm just kind of smoking my pipe, kind of walking along with them.
I also failed.
I actually have something else I'd like to do while they're looking at the books.
Okay. We'll get to you in just one second. Professor Zool, one thing that sort of stands out to you is the lectern. It's painted gold. It's got a big eagle on it, and there's a big book on the other side of it. When you look, you realize immediately it's an old Bible, and there are a number of big silk bookmarks that are in place. You look, and the first one you read is this.
Genesis chapter 3. And the Lord God said, Behold, the man is become as one of us, to know good and evil. And now, lest he put forth his hand, and take also of the tree of life, and eat, and live forever. Therefore the Lord God sent him forth from the Garden of Eden, to till the ground from whence he was taken. So he drove out the man, and he placed at the east of the Garden of Eden cherubims and a flaming sword, which turned every way to keep the way of the tree of life.
And the second bookmark has this.
Ezekiel chapter 1. And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud and a fire enfolding itself, and a brightness was about it. And out of the mist thereof, as the color of amber, out of the midst of the fire. Also of the mist thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures. And this was their appearance. They had the likeness of a man. And everyone had 4 faces, and everyone had 4 wings. And their feet were straight feet, and the sole of their feet was like the sole of calf's foot. And they sparkled like the color of burnished brass. And they had the hands of a man under their wings on their 4 sides. And they 4 had their faces and their wings. Their wings were joined one to another. They turned not when they went everyone straight forward. As for the likeness of their face, they 4 had the face of a man, and the face of a lion on the right side, and they 4 had the face of an ox on the left side. They 4 also had the face of an eagle. Thus were their faces, and their wings were stretched upward. 2 wings of every one were joined one to another, and 2 covered their bodies. And they went everyone straight forward. Whither the spirit was to go, they went, and they turned not when they went.
And after you sort of read that and look around, you do realize that a lot of the books are based on information on angels.
My gentlemen, look at this book and these passages. It seems that our host has a deep interest in anything angelic, at least of the Judeo-Christian faith.
I always thought it odd, these concept of angels, they never match the pictures. I mean, I've heard, this one says 4, I've heard 6 wings, nothing like the sweet things they painted in the old days.
They're always described as quite terrifying in the Bible.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Soldiers of heaven and less, benevolent, creatures. Absolutely.
Professor Maxim, what was it that you were going to do?
So there was something nagging at me about that foyer. So once Jeremiah goes out, I'm going to see. I suspect it's just a difference between where I grew up in Britain and here, but I'd like to take a look around to see if I can put my finger on it.
All right. So you step out into the foyer and you're looking around. Do another spot hidden, but you can do it with a bonus dice.
001.
Nice. So you're looking around, you realize things are dusty. You remember seeing Jeremiah up on the ladder, which he has now moved over to the side. You look up at the chandelier, which is a lovely, crystal chandelier. The house has electricity. You see switches on the wall. And the chandelier is brightly lit. But as you sort of look up at it and move around a bit, you realize that the cable going to the chandelier is frayed and broken.
Broken clean through?
Yeah.
So there's no power going to the chandelier, yet the lights are lit.
Right. I mean, unless there's some other way that maybe the frayed cord is an old cord and there's some new wiring, but you can't see any new wiring.
Fascinating. I step into the library.
Okay.
Gentlemen, I felt like there was something not quite right in the foyer as we came through, so I took a quick peek. Perhaps someone could join me, but the chandelier appears to not be powered by electricity. There's a broken cord to it.
Interesting. Yeah, I'll come take a look at that.
I say, could it be one of those, Thomas Edison batteries?
Oh, unlikely.
Lighting a
I'd
chandelier?
Although they are sizable, I suppose.
And isn't there another chap that claims they can send electricity through the air?
Oh, I'm sure that's nonsense. All these different current types. I'm sure Mr. Edison knows what he's talking about. The gentleman, I forgot the name, something with a sla.
So as
Regardless, this seems odd.
So as you are standing there wondering, trying to figure it all out, Professor Dakota and Jeremiah, you walk across the property. You can see that it's fairly well kept. The little hedges are all trimmed down nicely. The grass is cut short. There are some springtime, crocuses and tulips that are popping up here and there and starting to bloom. You walk along the path, you cross the main circular road, and you have a good view of the well back in the back of the property. But you're walking towards what looks like a stable, and you can see that it's partly a stable. It was on one side, and on the other side, it's a garage. So he comes up to the garage and he unlocks the doors, and he opens them up, and there is a fine, beautiful Duesenberg, big old touring car. Looks like the kind of gangsters would ride around in. It's painted kind of an off mustard color, which is actually quite stunning with the black upholstery and everything like that. To one side of it, there is a table that looks like it has, various mechanical instruments hanging up. There's a few tools, like a workshop tools and stuff like that. And the garage itself only goes back about 3/4 of the way, and then it's open to the stables next to it. You can't see around the corner, but you can see that it's open. And he says, well, let's see what we can find. And he starts walking towards the back, and you can see there are a number of 5-gallon gasoline cans against the back of the barn. We'll call it a barn. He picks one up and he goes, oh dear. Since there doesn't seem to be anything in this. What would you like to do?
I'll walk up to the cans as well, and while checking out the car, and I go, Jeremiah, I don't mean to be envious at all, but that's one hell of a car right there that your master owns.
Yes, we used to go out quite often driving, but in the past couple of years, the master tends to stay here and keep to his studies and things like that. He's just not that interested any longer. It's a shame. It is a beautiful car.
With the car, do I notice any dust, or does it look like it's been sitting there for a minute?
Yeah, there's a small layer of dust on it. Not as much as you'd expect. Probably the butler comes out here and dusts it off every once in a while. It just hasn't in a bit. You check the cans, and there doesn't seem to be any gasoline. And he's like, well, perhaps there's some in the car, and we can drain some of it out. This is, and he gives you some technical term you don't understand, but he says there should be a siphon underneath the tank where we can just drain it into something.
Well, if I can be completely honest with you, Jeremiah, I'm not too knowledgeable of automobiles. I'm a researcher. I normally have people driving me to sites and whatnot. So honestly, for us, we did fill up the tank, and we think that there might be gas left, but I think it's a more difficult mechanical issue. If there's any way at this point, can we use your phone and maybe I can call a mechanic?
Of course, certainly.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Professor, as you're staring at, as you're talking to him, something in the stable, you hear something move. And you didn't see any animals as you were coming up. You don't smell any animals. As you're standing there and you're finishing the last words of your conversation, something looks around the corner in the back of the stable, right at you. And it's almost, it terrifies you when you see it, so that you gasp and you sort of jump back. It looks like a woman. Her hair is black and stringy, and she seems to be wearing a kind of a shroud-like garment. And when she sees you, her eyes seem to glow, and she opens her mouth, and it's filled with, looks like razor-sharp teeth. Do a sanity roll.
Extreme success.
Okay. Do a 1D. We'll just do a 1D2. So 1D4 and divide it in half.
I rolled a 1, so a 0.5.
No, well, 1 point.
Just 1. Okay.
You take 1 point and you jump back in alarm, and he's like, "Oh, Professor, are you all right?" And he looks around, but by the time he looks around, there's nothing there.
There was a woman there. She looked ghastly, almost half dead.
A woman? And he steps forward and looks, and he says, "But there's nothing here."
I proceed to walk past him to where the woman was standing.
Right. You can see there's kind of a little, I'd call it almost like a little hallway. It's closed on one side, and on the other side would be the stables. So they're open, and you can see the outside from there, but you don't see anybody there.
Jeremiah, I know I'm not going insane. I swear she was standing right there, clear as day, with just horrible razor teeth.
Very strange. He looks around me. He says, "Well, I don't see anybody. Perhaps we'll go inside and phone Sanarak Lake and see if we can get some gasoline out here for you."
Maybe it's just all of the traveling and the driving I've just done. Maybe
Perhaps the stress. Yes.
Maybe I'll just follow you. I'm sorry. That was just frightening.
Well, it's all right, Professor. The country can play tricks on people. And he and you walk back. You're a little unnerved as you walk through the front door. And, you hear the others talking quietly. Apparently, well, actually, they're just inside the door looking up at the light.
My God, Dakota, are you all right? You look a fright.
He had a bit of a startle.
Yeah, yes. I think it's just the stress of driving and travel wariness.
Absolutely. Any luck with getting us more gas so we can stop,
I'm afraid we don't have any gas out there. I can call the service station in Saranac and have them send some out.
And Professor DeWitt, let's get you some brandy.
Yes. A drink would be great. It'd be lovely. Thank you, Jeremiah. I appreciate you doing the phone call.
Rosemary, could you please come? These gentlemen need an addition to their refreshment. And he says, I'll go make the phone call if you'd like.
Oh, Jeremiah, just before you go and
Yes, sir.
point up to the changers, like we were just intrigued about how the lights were being powered. It seems you have a cord, a wire up there that's well, I mean, cut right through.
We have power from the city. I don't know how they strung it out here. I'm not really a very electrical person. And he reaches over to the switch and flips it off and on, and it goes off and on. He says, I don't know how these things work.
Fascinating. I mean, there must be an additional wire hidden in there somewhere.
Must be, yes.
Fascinating. Thank you. Yes, I would gladly hold up my glass. Take some more of that tea that you served us a moment ago, please.
Rosemary comes up and she's like, more tea then?
Oh, yes, please. Thank you.
Absolutely. I say Rosemary.
Whiskey.
Looks like
Whiskey, please.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Whiskey, sir?
Oh, I say Rosemary. It looks like you are preparing for a lot of guests this evening. You mentioned.
Indeed, I've got a lot of
party.
cooking. Yes.
Is it? I hope we're not intruding at all. What type of event is the master preparing for?
It's a party for his daughter Veronica.
Oh my. Perhaps we should meet and give our introductions to young Miss Veronica.
I'm sure they'll be down in a while. Sir, you were saying something?
Yes. If you could get me a whiskey, please, that'd be great.
A whiskey. And she looks at you kind of with a perplexed look, like she doesn't quite understand. Is that, I'm not sure that we have that, sir. We have coffee, we have tea, water.
Oh,
milk.
Brandy, bourbon, gin.
And she looks at
Can't
you
have a
and-
dinner without wine.
And she seems to be confused again. Wine.
Alcoholic, Rosemary.
I'll see if we have any wine. Give me a few moments. And she leaves. She goes down the hallway and you see her go into what must be the kitchen.
That is most interesting, gentlemen.
she acted like she'd never heard of alcohol before. What is going on?
Yeah, I could understand not having any for whatever personal beliefs, but having not heard of the stuff. I mean, we saw a Bible. It's there's wine in the Bible. It's not a completely absurd concept.
Gentlemen, if I can be completely honest with you, here, come a little bit closer. I need to tell you something.
Now, you're all still standing in the hall. Did you want to go into one of the rooms?
Yes, let's
Yes.
adjourn into the library and close the door, shall we?
Yes, let's do that. And I'll go ahead and walk over to the library.
I scoot across to the foyer and just flick that light off and on, just out of curiosity.
Yeah, it goes off and on.
Okay. Satisfied, I turn and go.
All right. So you step into the library. What would you like to do?
Gentlemen, if I can confide in you in this moment, when we were out at the garage checking the gas canisters, I saw something very unsightly. Look around the corner from the stable that's connected to the garage, and it was a woman with long, stringy black hair and pale as the statue that nearly scared all of us walking up here.
Everyone
had-
do a spot hidden as he says that.
And she had razor sharp teeth. It looked like she was getting ready to attack me, bite me even.
Hard success on spot hidden.
I'm spending one luck to pass.
Okay. Excuse me. As he's saying that, Professor Maxim, you're looking right past him at the painting on the wall, and he's describing a woman in the painting without the horrific details. It's a rather lovely woman in a white gown. She has long black hair and very bright eyes. And she's standing next to what you think is Mr. Wayland. They look a little younger. It looks like it might be a wedding portrait or something like that.
Professor DeWitt, did she look like that?
What do you mean look like? Oh my God, that's her. But yet not with the, and I indicate at my mouth to indicate the teeth and whatnot. That's the woman. I saw her.
I say, Dakota, this is not like you, the man who read historical battle accounts and gruesome details for an afternoon, whim. What is going on, my man?
I don't know. It's just out of the ordinary. It's like I said, she looked vicious at me.
From the painting, that would appear to be, possibly the lady of the house. I can't imagine that she'd be with a big engagement coming on in just a few hours, running around the grounds in the state you described.
Would the description or the change from the painting perhaps trigger something in my occult knowledge?
I'd say that, the way it sounds is the way it sounds. It sounds like Dakota claims to have seen something like a ghost. But now that you say something like that, I'd like you to do another spot. Occult sciences was your...
Correct. I failed on my spot hidden.
Okay, by how much?
My spot hidden is 40 and I rolled a 72.
Oof. All right. How about the rest of you roll spot hiddens?
Regular?
I can spend 2 to make it a hard.
97 again.
That's okay.
72 is less than my occult. Just trying to...
Since Professor Thinker said it first, I'll say that he just says, what is that? And he points over at the lectern. And at first you don't really notice what he's pointing at, but then you do. There
Am I the only one seeing this?
seems to be some sort of symbol scratched into the front of the eagle. You see it?
What symbolism is that, gentlemen?
I don't know. I step closer to it and look at it.
Is it a constellation of some sort?
Don't think so. Doesn't quite line up with any I know of, not with the lack of dots and a pattern like that.
Professor Maxim, do an occult roll.
I succeeded, just barely.
Okay. As you're looking at it, something strikes you as familiar. Something from the writings of Aleister Crowley and his sort of fascination with magic squares and sigils and things like that. You, out of curiosity, you reach over and you try to move the lectern, and you realize that it's very heavy, heavier than you'd think that it would be for a lectern. And you realize that it's probably made mostly of lead. In your occult studies, lead is the realm of Saturn, and Saturn, if you immediately pull out a notebook or something and a pencil, and you start scribbling something, and what you want to explain is that there is a magic square that is associated with Saturn, and the way that you can tell what the sigil is, let me explain. A magic square looks like this. And the quality that it has is the numbers in whichever direction you go always add up to the same number.
Sudoku.
That's what makes it a magic square. And this is the one for Saturn in particular. And if you lay out the alphabet like this, and you wanted to have a magical spell, you would use a keyword. And the way you would show it is you would draw lines. For instance, if you were going to use the word wet, the way you would do it is W lands in 5, E lands in 5, and T lands in 2. So your starting point is a circle, W-E-T. Does that make sense?
Oh.
The line is the end of the word. So
It could also be web, right? Like it could also be a B, or
it might be some other word. Correct. Yeah. So you're looking at the sigil that is on the lead eagle, and it looks like if you put it on the same thing, it looks like this.
Gentlemen, I think I recognize this. Give me a moment.
And now you know what the paper and pencil was for.
So I show everybody the square and explain to them what this represents and how it's used. Let's try and work it out. So starting with 7, we have G, P, or Y. I'm reading that correctly, right? It starts with the 7.
Right. I've put the letters in red that it could be.
Right. Then we go with I or R. Then we move. Do we count 5 or does it?
It's
passing. It's passing through. So
okay.
But 9 is twice, right? So
9 is twice.
Yeah, IR or RI. Yeah.
So we're only counting angles here, right?
Right.
Like each term,
Oh,
right?
I see.
Right.
So
the circle and the angle. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, there's only, it ends in 5, but it, obviously it doesn't. We don't add an extra one just because it goes through it, because it doesn't have a. It doesn't have
Got it. That makes sense. Yeah. Okay, who's good at crypto quick or whatever that is?
So Albie's looking at it or I'm looking at it for a little bit, and if I understand, could prison be one of the words?
Prison.
I don't. Because I'm looking here. Correct me if I'm wrong. This would mean that the first letter is either G, P, or Y.
Correct. So the P, yes.
Right.
Followed by I or R.
The R.
Correct.
And then it's A, J, or S.
Oh no, there's 2. So
there's 2.
IR,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So PRI exactly.
So
7,
2
9,
IRs,
1, 6,
then the AJS,
Which is the S in prison.
then FOX, and then ENW. So it could be prison. It could actually be prison.
It might also be written to the left.
And indeed, that's the only thing that you can make out of it is prison.
Well done.
I say a prison.
Surprised even myself. I had no idea. This is really the first I've seen of this. I'm shocked it came to me.
And our host's obsession with angelic entities. Are they trying to trap an angel?
Yeah, are they trying to trap, as you said, the flying entity there? Are they trying to trap what's on the lectern? Is it a marking of where it's from? Like what does it refer to?
Prison?
Well, and we also have the combination of Saturn, the Greek Saturn.
Saturn in Greek history, as I've always taught it, is they're representations of Greek mythology gods. Saturn in particular was Cronus, which is the father of Zeus and Hades and Poseidon. And basically, in some tales, they would have imprisoned Cronus deep under in the underworld in order to keep him locked up there for him not causing any other issues in our mortal world.
Now, was it also Kronos that was castrated and from his genitals came Aphrodite? Or is that someone else?
That's Cronus's father, I believe, Uranus.
Ah,
Cronus was the castrator, not the castratee.
fair enough. Important difference.
And speaking of tea, Rosemary shows up with more tea. She says, I'm sorry, sir, we don't seem to have any wine or those other things you said in the house.
Is this a dry party?
I'm not sure I understand, sir.
There'll be no alcohol served tonight?
She looks really confused for a moment. She says, no.
Beverages. What type of beverages does the master usually host his parties with?
Well, we have tea, and we have water, and we have coffee.
And the guests absolutely love this. I'm imagining there's no complaints.
There never have been, sir.
What type of party is it that you mentioned for the master's daughter? Are there a lot of parties, or is this a once in a while event, Rosemary, my dear?
We have a get together a few times a year, but this is a special one for his daughter, Veronica, Miss Veronica.
How far do people travel for these parties?
Oh, I wouldn't know, sir.
Rosemary, this is your master in the painting here. Who is that lovely woman accompanying him?
That's his wife, Elizabeth. She passed away some years ago.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
She's buried out in the mausoleum.
I say, Rosemary, you mentioned this is a party for the master's daughter. Is it a special event, her birthday, perhaps?
She's beginning a religious. I'm not sure I understand it completely. A religious undertaking, an ascetic labor of some sort. They'll be glad to discuss it with you when they come down. They should be down soon.
So based on my understanding of, histories or traditional calendars, does today mark any special day in either occult or historical sort of?
Do an occult roll.
Oh, can I do anthropology? Probably.
Sure.
Okay.
Anthropology would make sense too.
Yeah. I got 80 over 81, so I pass.
Okay. Nothing that you could think of.
Perfect.
Rosemary, does your master have any other children?
No, just Miss Veronica. If you'll excuse me, I have a lot of prep work to do in the kitchen.
Of course.
Thank you for the tea.
Thank you again, Rosemary.
She leaves, and for the moment, you are alone as you are looking around the room. There is a very interesting woodcut next to the bookcase, which catches your attention.
Oh,
Heaven above.
The four wings, like the book described. Oh, dear.
Yes. I'd love to roll a cult on this, Tom, if I could.
Absolutely.
Regular success.
I would like to take her around the library, if I don't mind, and see if I see any books of interest.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, Dakota, my friend, we're looking at this because look at the book on the lectern. It describes its exact scene.
Professor Maxim, it looks to you like an old woodcut, perhaps describing an ancient wizard known as Abramelin. It's kind of Hebrew Jewish folklore that Abraham gave to his son Lamech a book of magic that had been taught to him by this wizard Abramelin. And Abramelin, you look around quickly in the room since there's so much other stuff in here dealing with this. And it doesn't take you long before you recognize a book written in German on one of the shelves. You pull it down, and in fact, it is the Book of Abramelin. This is what you describe. I've written this out, but you can read it to describe to the others what you have found.
The Book of Abramelin is a 15th century grimoire written by Abraham of Worms, born circa 1392, died circa 1458, a Jew from Worms, Germany. The focus of the book is a long and complex ritual known as the Abramelin operation, named after Abramelin the mage, who taught it to Abraham. It allows magicians to contact their holy guardian angel. There are numerous benefits from, quote, knowledge and conversation, unquote, with one's holy guardian angel. Initially, this allows the magician to summon and bind a myriad of demons so they can no longer have a negative influence upon the magician's life. Following this, the magician has the ability to use a number of magic squares in the book, giving them access to a wide range of powers, e.g., premonition, transmogrification, flight, invisibility, conjuration, etc. The text advises these powers are only to be used when there is a true need for them. The Book of the Sacred Magic of Abramelin the Mage is divided into 3 books. Book 1 is a letter from Abraham to his son, Lamech, explaining that the knowledge imparted in this collection will be his inheritance. Abraham then outlines the quest he undertook to obtain the, quote, veritable and sacred magic, unquote, that has been passed down through the ages and ultimately to him by Abramelin the mage. Book 2 contains a very detailed and complex instructions on how to perform the Abramelin operation. This involves months of prayer and studying of religious texts in a precisely constructed environment before the magician's holy guardian angel will appear. After this, the magician summons and binds the demons of hell. Book 3 contains a large number of magic squares and explains the powers that each one grants. They can only be used once the magician has communed with their holy guardian angel. Its systematic and scientific-like approach to magic made the book popular with occultists of the period, but it also developed a reputation as being dangerous. Because it detailed how to bind demons, some believed that dark forces desired this knowledge to be suppressed, and it, therefore, put owners of the book in danger.
The book itself is written in German, and there is that strange square on the cover, which, as you notice, is not only written up and down and from the bottom up, but it's all palindrome. It's the same forward as it is backward. Do any of you have Latin?
I do. I have 51 in Latin.
I have 41, so yeah.
I have 30.
You guys want to roll for Latin?
37.
French.
So pass. Wait, 33, pass.
Not even
I
close.
failed.
So Dr. Zool, you look at it and you realize that it's very difficult Latin. It doesn't make much sense, but about the closest you could come to translating it would be something like the seed planter or the gardener guides the wheels of his plow with difficulty.
So I explained this to everyone here, and I mentioned that this is a very, very strange use of just the way the words are constructed and ordered, my friends. And this gardener, if we put it all together, and we look at the Garden of Eden, the angels, and the binding of forces, what is going on here? Not that I, believe in the occult and magic, my apologies, Maxim, but there is something very, very odd afoot.
There is a knock that you hear quite clearly on the front door, and you hear Jeremiah's footsteps coming down the hallway. He goes past the library, past the parlor that you were in, and you hear him go to the front door, and he opens it, and you hear him say, "Ah, Mr. Goodman, so nice to see you again." "Well, hello, Jeremy. How are you doing? Please come inside. Am I the first to arrive, or are there others?" He says, "There are a number of guests that we're having because their car seems to have run out of gas." "Oh, that's unfortunate. Please come here and join them. I believe they're in the library if you'd like to join them." And coming around the corner, followed by Jeremiah, is a gentleman. And he comes forward and he says, good afternoon. My name is Lester Goodman."
Mr. Goodman?
Hello, Mr. Goodman. I'm Professor Walker.
Professor?
Professor DeWitt.
They said your car broke down.
Oh, yes. Just down the road. You might have passed it on your way in, actually.
Well, I'm sure they'll get you all situated. What do you think of the place? Nice, huh?
It's quite
It's
remarkable.
Very nice. Yes.
Interesting artwork and everything.
He looks over at Professor Maxim and he says, "Oh, you've got the Abramelin book out."
Oh, you recognize this tone?
Yeah. I deal in rare books.
Oh, very interesting. Do you have your card? I'm often in
yes, I
need
do.
of books.
He hands you his
Thank
card.
you.
It's Lester Goodman, Boston, Massachusetts, rare books, rare acquisitions.
Did you drive all the way up from Boston today?
Oh, indeed. Here, let me take a look at that. And he opens it up and he inspects it really quickly and goes, "Oh, this is the bad copy. That's probably why it's in here. The better translation is probably in August's private collection." See, there were a lot of translations of this, of course, and some of them people didn't know what they were doing. I helped him find the better copy.
I say, Mr. Goodman, you seem very knowledgeable in rare books and unusual lore. We were wondering, what is that carving right there, on that eagle's chest? It looks like, is it a flaw in the side? What is that?
I don't know. Some sort of
Okay.
chicken scratches.
Yeah, that's what we figured. Huh.
What brings you here tonight, Mr. Goodman? Are you here for the party as well?
Apparently the event, it's you don't know. I mean, you're looking at the book and everything.
Well, Mr. Goodman, they vividly have told us it's some sort of event for Veronica, Mr. Whalen's daughter.
Oh yeah. She is about to attempt the Abramelin operation. In fact, she's going to be sequestered for 18 months.
Fascinating.
So she's been praying and fasting up until now and getting ready to begin the actual operation. Once she starts, she's not allowed to leave. She has to stay.
Oh dear.
Yeah. So
Rather extensive.
yeah, I mean, it's kind of why I got involved in the Wayland family. Old Wayland, he attempted the Abramelin operation a number of years ago, but he had the bad translation. So he thought that it was only 6 months that he had to follow the instructions, and nothing happened. He did a little research looking around and finally ran across me, and I helped him find a much better translation.
So this operation that she's about to be under with, is this the same? Has this operation been done before by the Wayland family? And I point towards the wife in the photo.
Not that I know of. Old Wayland's interested in the occult, but mostly from a Judeo-Christian point of view. And I mean, I don't know that much about him. I know because I got involved because of that particular book. He seems to be a bit obsessed with angels. Not that surprising.
Do you know the outcome of this operation if successful?
You get to talk to your guardian angel and they teach you magic, something like that.
I mean, Mr. Goodman, let's be honest here with each other.
I don't believe it.
Well,
I mean,
what do you
come on.
think actually happens then?
I think that you end up spending 18 months doing a bunch of ritual that doesn't get you anything. I mean,
So why? I mean,
just like reading the Bible your whole life, does it get you anything?
not really, honestly.
No.
Some good stories, but
Knowledge.
I mean, people have been-
it's worth it for its own
People
sake.
have been sequestering themselves in monasteries for their whole lives, and what does it get them? Gets them a place in the cemetery.
I'm just a little confused why everyone just says, oh yeah, she's going to spend 18 months doing this ritual and trying to contact her angel. No one is at all raising an eyebrow.
I personally, I'm not a religious man, but I still
Neither am
sell
I.
rare books, and people want these books, so that's how I make my money.
Now, you mentioned that Old Wayland tried this operation as well. Is that our host's father?
Oh no. I mean August. He's
Okay.
that's his picture there.
And there were no negative side effects for him. Just
Not
just
that I know of. It
disappointment.
just nothing happened.
How long ago was that? Do you recall? Like, it was when you first met him. So,
It's been a couple of years.
oh wow. Did he ever mention? That he had a reason? Oh, and who's that lovely lady next to him?
Oh, I think that's his wife. I think her name's Elizabeth. She passed away a number of years ago.
Oh, I'm. So
I never met her.
It wasn't around the same time Wayland was trying to.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
It's something personal. I have no idea. I come now every once in a while just because I'm invited.
So I must have misheard Mr. Goodman, but the man that's in the photo, is that the current Wayland?
Yeah, that's August right there. So is
Okay.
that. Well, he says the statue's in the other room.
Yeah, quite a prank.
And what was
Yeah.
it that his wife passed from?
I have no idea.
Huh.
But it's
Interesting.
the 1920s. It could have been anything. Could have been a sneeze.
Do you have any idea why he has his statue pointed towards the window? It scared us to death.
Guys, just your questions. You seem very curious about the Waylands. I don't know much more than you do. And he makes himself sort of comfortable in a wing chair, and he's like, do you mind if I smoke? Pulls out a pipe.
Oh, please.
Mind if we join you?
Yeah. I imagine Rosemary's in the kitchen.
Oh, that
Yes,
reminds us. We were asking about refreshments and asking for nice stout drink, and it seems like that's not something the master of the house approves of, like a good wine or a good whiskey.
Well, I mean, they'll give you whatever you need if they've got it. I don't know. I have no idea.
Oh, so the other times you were here for dinners, there was just water and tea?
Just water. I
Oh,
drink
wow.
water. Um,
Can I do a slight check on him? He sounds off.
sure.
All right, and ooh, I'm gonna spend 5 points of luck to pass.
Okay. Lester seems friendly. He does seem a little off-put by you asking so many questions. After all, he's an invited guest, and suddenly he's being grilled by you. But he doesn't seem like to be lying or having a reason to lie.
Does he seem like amused, like there's an inside joke we're not getting, or does he seem more?
I'd say he I don't know. He doesn't really seem like anything much at all. You know. So you're sitting there for a few moments, you know. Is there anything else you'd like to do?
If I could elbow Maxim and ask him in a whisper, Maxim, based on your understanding of the magic circles, what happens if that no longer says prison?
Well, you mean of the podium?
Exactly.
Let me
like if it says
think.
diarrhea, for example.
Tom, is there an occult roll here?
I mean, if you believe it, does it do anything at all? Is it just a magic charm? You know,
Yeah,
like rabbit's
you
foot.
know,
What happens if you burn a rabbit's foot? You lose your luck? No. It's just...
I've always thought Crowley was mostly a con artist, and this follows in his patterns. So,
Okay, so I mean, I certainly don't mean to start, messing up our guest's wonderful home, but I wonder if a little nick or scratch to change that word might not be the most interesting thing in the world.
well, and also the lectern's very large, apparently made out of lead. Another thing, if we do want to push this a little, we could try to move it together.
Ah, I see. Well, again, Mr. Goodman's here, so probably not for the best, but certainly something to think of.
This is certainly fascinating to me. I cannot wait to speak with him more about this operation.
Oh,
It's rare that you get.
As you are sitting there chit-chatting, you hear another knock at the front door. Once again, Jeremiah walks past the door, heads towards the front door, and you hear him open the door, and he says, good evening, sir. It's so nice to see you again. Hello, Jeremiah. How are you? He says, please come in. There are some people here who had some difficulty with their car. They're in the library. Would you like to join them? Sure. And around the corner into the library steps an identical copy of Lester Goodman. Oh, hello. Lester Goodman. And he steps forward to shake your hand.
do we still see Lester sitting there?
Yeah, he's still sitting there. In fact,
I shake his hand out of a habit and say, Professor Walker, nice to meet you.
He as he shakes your hand, he looks over past you and he goes, oh, I didn't know you were here, Lester. And Lester, sitting down, stands up and he says, oh, Lester, I haven't seen you for so long. And they sort of embrace for a moment. And he says, how was your trip? He says, oh, it was really nice. And they start carrying on a bizarre little conversation about.
Gentlemen, are you two related?
Yeah,
brothers,
pretty much
perhaps?
identical. I mean, you can't, once they've started sort of commingling, you've lost track of which one is.
Like dressed exactly the same way and everything.
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
Identical twins with
Except
the
that
same
Lester
name?
number 2 doesn't know you, and
Wow.
Lester number 1 does.
And Lester number 1 has still his pipe.
He's got his
maybe?
pipe, and the other
Okay,
guy
so-
doesn't.
All right.
Gentlemen, I need some air. This is nuts to me. I'm going to walk to the parlor and possibly walk to the front door.
Okay.
I think I'll join you. I've sits down an empty glass. I think I've enjoyed a little bit too much of this just delightful tea. I need to visit the washroom.
All right. So Professor Peyton, you are heading towards the washroom. Professor DeWitt, you're heading towards the front door or the parlor. I mean, it's the parlor's on the way to the front door.
Yeah, it's just walking to the front door, basically.
Professor Zool, Professor Thieker, Professor Walker, what are you guys doing?
I'm going to stay here and talk to the Goodmans and try to use my psychology to understand, like, fraternal twins dressed the same way.
Yeah, I'm like, are you twins with the same name, or?
I'm going to continue to explore the library a bit, see if there's anything else that appears related to anything we've learned so far.
Okay. So, Professor Dakota, you walk down the hall towards the front door. And did you say you were going to get some air?
Yes.
All right. Professor Albee, you've stepped into the washroom. It's a nice little washroom, sort of 1920s style. It's been somewhat modernized, maybe 5 years ago or so. But it's got running water and it's got a toilet and everything like that. It seems to be in fairly good working order. Are you going to do anything in the bathroom other than bathroom stuff?
I didn't have the intention of it, but I mean, like, if I step in and something seems out of place or interesting,
Okay. Nothing seems out of the place or interesting in there.
Okay. But once I leave,
we'll get back to you though in just a minute.
Sure.
So Professor Dakota, you go to the front door and you open it, and just as you open the door, Lester Goodman is coming up onto the porch and was getting ready to knock on the front door. And he's like, "Oh, hello, I'm Mr. Goodman. Is Jeremiah no longer the butler here?"
Yes.
You can do a sanity roll.
Failure.
Failure. Do a 1D. Once again, a 1D2.
Okay. So 1.
He's like, is Jeremy still here as the butler, or?
Yeah. Yes. He is. And I turn around. Jeremiah, another guest is here.
And Jeremiah comes around the corner and he starts walking. He goes, "Oh, hello, Mr. Goodman. How are you this evening?" And invites him in and tells him the story of your car breaking down and sends him to the library. And once again, a third Lester Goodman comes into the library, which now you can all do sanity rolls. Professor Albee, you're in the bathroom, and do a spot hidden for me.
Okay. That's a fail. And I don't think I want to spend 20 points of luck to make it a success.
Do a pound check.
Okay. That I pass. 26 out of 50.
How much you say on a fail?
Just 1 or 2.
And pass is 1?
Yeah, just take 1.
Oh.
Professor Albee, as you're sitting there or standing there, you notice a place on the wall where the wallpaper seems to be curling just a little bit, like there's something underneath it. And just by some chance, you sort of reach out and, flip it to see what's underneath.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do that, the wallpaper on the wall suddenly starts to crumble. And within a matter of seconds, all of the wallpaper in the room is crumbling. And you can see that you are in a dirty, filthy, broken down lavatory with literal, holes in the wall. And everything is dirty and dusty.
Oh, dear God.
And a second later, it's all back the way that it was before. Perfectly normal.
Ramaz, under my glasses, Ramaz. And it's like,
you can do a sanity roll.
Yeah. Just barely I fell.
All right. Take 1 point of damage.
Okay.
My guess is you sort of stumble out of the bathroom.
Yeah.
There seems to be conversations going on inside the library. It seems more people may have arrived. Professor Dakota, did you continue outside or did you come back in?
No, I continue walking outside.
Okay. You step outside, and I would like you to do a power roll.
So, Tom, after this, can we take a quick bow break?
Yeah.
Okay.
Fail.
Okay. You step out of the door, and you're looking around. You can see that there are a few flakes of snow that are wafting down from up above. It's very light, but the sky is cloudy and dark. It's probably about 4:30, 5 o'clock by now, and it's cold. You also, out of the corner of your eye, you see something moving, and over by the barn, that woman is over there. And she's sort of growling at you from across the property.
What the? It's her. It's Elizabeth. What the hell is going on here? I've got to get the others. We've got to leave. What is going on here? And I turn around and rush back to the front door.
You rush back in the front door, and you rejoin everybody in the library. By this moment, you've all sort of come back together into the library. And we'll take a 5-minute break there.
5 minutes later.
Over the course of the next 10 minutes, 5 more Lester Goodmans arrive. They never seem to know themselves, but they know themselves, but they haven't seen themselves in a while. If you ask for more business cards, all of their business cards are identical. All in all, there's at least 10 of them. And about that time, around the corner comes another gentleman, much more distinguished looking, a bit rather handsome, matching the description exactly of the painting and the statue. Good afternoon, gentlemen. I am Augustus Wayland, your host for this evening. How are you all doing? Have you all gotten your refreshments? And
Mr. Wayland, pleased to make your acquaintance. And, we are very, very grateful of the hospitality you've shown us. My name is Dr. Virgil Zoll.
yes, Jeremiah was telling me that your car has run out of gas.
Absolutely, and we hope we're not intruding. I understand there's an event this evening.
There's plenty of room.
Well, we certainly don't want to disturb your gathering here tonight. We'd be more than happy to wait in here or somewhere else.
It's a very special occasion. No, you're certainly welcome to join us for dinner.
Thank you very much, sir.
My daughter will be attempting to accomplish what I was not. Are you any of you familiar with the Abramelin operation?
We've spoken of it. We noticed we noticed you have the book.
Yes,
or a copy of it.
Well, a lot of people who are interested in the occult do have this book.
And Mr. Goodman spoke of it as well. He told us that you had tried it before.
Yes, and he looks right. He says Lester has provided me with a number of things that made the attempt worthwhile. I can't quite understand why I wasn't successful. The first time I understand that I didn't have a good translation, but the translation that we have now is a very good one, and I also failed. It didn't seem to work for me then either.
Oh, you've attempted multiple times.
I've attempted it twice, yes.
If I may ask, and again, I could understand not wanting to mention the name, but what were you trying to bind? Names being special, I can understand not wanting to mention.
Oh, you seem to know a little bit about it then. It's not really a particular thing. The concept is that one spends 18 months in a kind of a purification ritual. They fast, they pray, they abstain from certain kinds of food. They follow a certain ritual. They say prayers. They face different directions. It's quite complex. And then there's the preparation where you spread sand upon the floor, and you use a kind of, it's got a Hebrew name, but it's a kind of a wand, like 3 feet long. It's pointed at the end, and you draw magical symbols in the sand, and you have special clothing you wear, and it's all very involved. And at the end of it, your guardian angel should appear to you, at which point you can ask him to teach you the secrets of the universe. Once you have those, you can use Abramelin's equations to bind the demons and devils that are trying to thwart you, passion and arrogance and anger and hatred. And then once you've bound them all, then you are free you've purified yourself. You've become a pure, idyllic human being who is a master of the universe, what Adam should have been before he and Eve fell from grace.
What, if I may ask, are you trying to bind or control yourself of? I want to roll psychology to see if there's like a thing that's really bugging him and then caused him to want to purify.
You can do a psychology.
Like I'm thinking, like, is it anger? Is it lust? Is it hunger? All right, I'm gonna spend 7 luck to make it pass.
Okay. From the few minutes that you've spoken with him and the way he says things, if what he's saying is the truth, and it probably is according to the book, he can't fathom why he failed, since obviously the problem isn't him. He's a good person. He's worthy of this sort of thing. that in of itself, arrogance and pride are probably the thing that's keeping it from working for him. But he answers your question by saying, well, all of it. You're trying to bind all of the evil passions, all of them. Obviously, you don't want to have anything. You don't want lust or anger or hatred or any of that. Hopefully, my daughter is more successful. We'll know in 18 months.
Oh, I thought she finished the preparation.
Oh no, she's just about to begin. She's finished. She's finished preparing for the operation.
For the 18 months.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Her room upstairs has been converted into a kind of a place where she can sleep, but also a place where she can perform all of the necessary functions in private without any kind of disturbance. I'll be able to pass her the food that she requires without actually coming into contact with her, as that's part of the whole thing.
I'm sure you and the lady of the house, she's lovely, by the way, must be proud.
Oh, my wife, she passed away some years ago.
Oh, well, I'm so sorry.
Mr. Whalen, did your wife try to achieve the same operation?
No, my wife wasn't particularly interested in the occult.
Okay.
No.
Mr. Whalen, do you still have the wand you used for your ceremony? I'd be fascinated to see it.
It's in her. It's the same one. She's using it. Unfortunately, there's no way at this point in time. I didn't know that you were interested in the occult. Perhaps we can keep in touch after this. But
I would very much enjoy that.
At the moment, everything is prepared, and nobody can go in there except her at the moment.
Of course, that makes perfect sense. I actually am a professor of occult at Miskatonic University. My name's Professor Maxim Walker. Nice to make your acquaintance.
Miskatonic's a lovely university. I've been there a couple of times in the past, just to visit, just to consult.
Would you, by chance, be a member of the society?
No. You're referring to
the Alumni Society?
No, not. No, I'm not. Most of my studies have been private. I've done them on my own.
Sorry, I say, Mr. Whalen, that chandelier you have in the foyer is lovely. How is it powered? Jeremiah mentions is some sort of new technology.
I don't know anything about that. Jeremiah keeps everything in working order. Dinner will begin in about 45 minutes. Gentlemen, my home is your home. Please, make yourself at home.
Thank you.
Rosemary's probably quite busy. She probably hasn't brought you a lot of things. Feel free to walk about. As I say, my home is your home.
Mr. Goodman, pardon me, before you leave, I was just, perhaps I could talk to you in private for a moment?
Of course. Where would you like to talk?
We can just step out.
Should we go back into the study?
In the study, certainly.
Yeah.
Mr. Wayland, I'm intrigued by your guests. There appear to be 11 Lester Goodmans, all of identical appearance, who have joined us tonight. That does not seem possible.
No? Why?
I've heard of identical twins.
I've known Lester for years now.
Have you known 11 Lesters?
I'm not sure that I ever counted.
So this is normal to you to see basically a dozen.
The only thing abnormal about this particular event is your showing up
Oh
And I
yes, and for
understand,
that I
you know,
apologize.
you're not intruding. I mean, hospitality is very much an important thing. I was not. I mean, we didn't expect you, but we've got plenty. We're not starving or anything like that.
So it's usually just the
Okay.
Goodmans and you then, or
Actually, we're in. Maxim wanted to be private,
Oh, sorry.
so we stepped into the other room. If you want to try to overhear,
never mind. Sorry, I didn't realize you stepped into the other room, not just to the side.
Maxim, do a power roll.
I succeeded.
As you are standing there talking to Augustus Wayland, past him over his shoulder, past the statue that's looking out of the window, you can see two things. You can see that it has begun to lightly snow, and you can see that there is a very strange and evil looking demon woman, as Professor Dakota described her, staring in the window and growling.
Oh my goodness, he wasn't deranged or confused by the stress.
Wayland is facing you, so he doesn't see it.
Mr. Wayland, who is that in the window?
Somebody's in the window? Oh, that's just a bust of me.
No, outside. There's someone staring in. It's a woman.
She's not there when he turns around, but he walks
She
over.
was there.
He walks over to the window and he's looking out. He says, "You say you saw someone?"
A woman. She bore a striking resemblance to your wife, but with matted black hair.
No, my wife's been dead. Perhaps it's a guest. I don't recall inviting a woman. And he steps out of the room and starts heading towards the front door. Do you go with him?
Oh, yes.
All right. You go to the front door, and this is his home. He opens the front door, and he steps out onto the porch, and you're still kind of just inside the door. The snow is coming down lightly. You can see it's partly coated the ground. Do a power roll.
Success. Just barely.
It's for the first time you kind of noticed the paint job on the house doesn't look quite as in shape as it did earlier. You can see definite places in the paint where it's peeling and it's crackled. And as you look out at the hedges and the landscaping, even though it's got like a little coating of white on it, it doesn't look like it's in as good repair as you originally thought. And as he's standing there, he says, "Well, I don't see a damn thing." And he turns back and looks at you. And as he does that, this woman, this demon woman, whatever she is, she leaps out from behind a hedge and leaps onto Wayland's back.
Oh my God.
And you see, he sort of looks very surprised. He gasps and sort of calls out. You see her hand, which is mostly like a claw. She reaches around and rips his throat completely out to the point where it almost decapitates him. Blood splatters everywhere. He falls onto the ground. She grabs him and she starts biting into him. You can do a sanity roll and tell me what you do.
I succeeded.
Do a 1d4 on your sanity, though.
1d4, okay. While I'm doing that, I definitely want to scream for help. 3 points of sand loss, so that's a total of 4 for me.
Okay. You scream for help. She's tearing him limb from limb.
I'm going to try to knock her off.
The rest of you hear Maxim yell, okay, right up by the front door. What do you guys do?
I'll run out and see what's happening.
Yeah, I run out. I'm like, Maxim.
Was that Maxim?
Yeah, run out as well.
So as you come running to the front door and out the front door, you see Professor Maxim. Maxim, you said you were going to try to hit her or
try to knock her off.
All right. So you see Professor Maxim swinging kind of on his hands and knees and swinging his hands in the light snow that's there. And Professor Maxim, as you look back and you see them coming out the door, with them in the group that's come to the front door is Mr. Wayland. And he's like, oh, what the deuce? Is everything all right? And you look down, Maxim, and there's nothing. It looks like you fell down the front steps. That's what it looks like to everybody.
Maxim, are you ill? Did you what happened? Did you fall?
Yes. I fell. I'm sorry, gents, for the alarm.
Well, no, let me help you up. Did we see him leave?
Are you all right? Are you all right? Yeah, you saw him.
I'm a bit shaken, but I think I'll be okay.
So was Augustus in front of us when we ran out, or did he just appear with the group?
He's behind you now. So.
Right, because
but we saw
they left. They went into a room.
Yeah, they left. Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
And then Maxim ended up outside, and somehow somehow they got separated.
Right.
Oh, Mr. Augustus, I thought you were with Maxim, having conversation.
Well, I was, and he wanted to go outside, so I'm not sure.
Oh my.
I guess he fell down the steps.
It is.
Are you all right, Mr. Maxim? Do you need any first aid?
I think I will recover just with a moment of time and perhaps a word with my friends.
All right. And he goes back in, and you hear him take up conversation with Lester as he steps inside.
I want to immediately walk out and look towards the barn and see if I see the woman.
Do a spot hidden.
Hard success.
You see a figure. You think it's the woman, but she is not. She's running from the barn towards the well, which you can't quite see. You know the well's right there, but you'd have to go out and around the house to see the well.
I move past them and start to make my way around the house.
What is it, Dakota?
It's the woman, Elizabeth, and I just keep walking.
I saw her too. I came out with our host, Mr. Wayland, and she attacked him. That's actually what happened. I have no idea how he then moved his way into the house with you. Dakota, I'll come with you.
You two are talking nonsense.
Well, when I went to the washroom, there was a moment, and I thought it was just, I don't know, a moment of lightheadedness or something where I saw wallpaper curled off the wall, and I touched it, and it dissolved. The wallpaper all around me dissolved, and the room it was decrepit, and like it had been there for years unused. And then I rubbed my eyes and blinked, and it was back to normal.
Maybe there's
clearly we cannot trust our senses.
Yeah,
there's something happening here.
When we first entered, I thought the chandelier and all that looked rather dusty for a nice chandelier. I didn't think much of it at the time, but yeah, do you think maybe is there any chance that we could be on some sort of there's a gas leak or something? What could cause us to be seeing things like this? I don't understand.
I mean, gentlemen, look around us. We're standing in snow.
Yeah, it's snowing in May.
Yeah, that, I mean, I figured we were a little more north than the usual, but this is definitely out of character for the weather. I guess, should we stick together and go after this woman? Or, I mean, do we even really know that she's there?
Dr. DeWitt, did you say that you were starting to go?
Yes.
All right. So you guys see Dr. DeWitt heading around the house.
I'm following
him
Professor
alone.
DeWitt.
Follow him.
Yeah, I'm
Let's
following
go.
along.
Yeah, let's go.
I
Can
talking
I
to
grab a
Max.
torch or a porch light or something? It's pretty dark, I'm guessing.
Yeah. It's still dusky, so
Oh.
there's still some light. Everyone do a luck roll.
Oh, shit.
I
Remember
passed.
spending 6 earlier?
Yeah.
I
Oh, no, I
passed.
Hard pass.
wouldn't have mattered if I spent the 6 or not. I failed.
Pass.
I succeeded.
Yeah, mine's also. I mean, mine's a hard as well.
Oh, so you all passed except for Dr. Thieker. All right, that's good. All right. So you guys are sort of working your way around to the back of the house. About halfway, you can see the well, you know. You're also getting more view of the house itself by walking around it. You can see that the upstairs, there is like a small veranda that, you know, sticks out from the house. And there seem to be odd little conical piles of something directly below the edge. They're kind of yellow-ish and not like snow at all. As you're walking by, they're maybe 10 feet from you, but they look weird.
So like
When the woman attacked Mr. Wayland, I noticed also that the house didn't look as in good shape, or the landscaping. I wonder, perhaps this is an indication that the house is even in worse shape than we thought.
So Maxim, I'm not versed in the occult, and a lot of what's been discussed tonight is very new to me. But is it possible? Okay, this could be very far out there, but with you saying the house didn't look as good, and with me, experiencing what I experienced, and now the snow, they're talking about this 18-month ritual. Is it possible they've already started it? And I mean, now we're experiencing it, and we're in it, and we're part of it, and time has passed, and we're getting glimpses of that. I don't know how a cult works, or if that's something that could even happen. I'm so out of my depths in this right now.
It's a fascinating theory. From what I know of the operation, could there be something like that?
Not according to the operation. It doesn't make any sense for that. Something is obviously really wrong here, but
I wonder, gentlemen.
are you still walking towards the well?
I want to check out those piles.
Yeah, I'm following where Maxim's going as I'm talking.
I want to do the same. I want to walk towards the piles.
When you walk towards the piles are only maybe less than a foot high, but they have a grainy like substance, like sugar. But when you touch them, you realize that it's sand. It's very white sand, but it seems to have trickled down from the second floor. Like there was sand on that veranda.
Is it a lot of sand, or enough to pile down?
I mean, it looks like, there's probably a couple of pounds of sand down here in various little piles.
Now, gentlemen, you do recall Augustus mentioning that part of the ritual or the ceremony does involve drawing things in sand. And again, this is probably an occupational hazard. But thinking of Mesoamerican myths, for example, the Aztec or the Mexican creation myth, we believe time is in the cycle. Universes or worlds get created, destroyed, created, destroyed, created, destroyed. In fact, they believe this is the fifth world that we're part of. I wonder, could this be the 11th or 12th iteration of this thing? And this is why we see 10, 11, 12 Lesters, and we see pounds of sand instead of a line of sand, and things like that, gentlemen.
But why would we just see 11 Lesters and not 11 Mr. Waylands? Why not 11 Jeremiahs? This is confusing to me. This is something that I don't normally deal with.
Well, maybe it's because Mr. Wayland and Jeremiah and Rosemary always live in this house. And again, I don't fully understand any of this, but maybe whatever is happening is localized here, and Mr. Goodman is located outside of this, I guess, sphere or square, even of whatever's going on here. And so there could be
anchors,
multiple versions of this of Mr. Goodman.
Is there a car in the driveway?
Yes.
Tracks.
You don't see a car in the driveway.
So how did he get here?
Professor Thieker suddenly lets out a whoop and falls backwards. As you were talking, looking at the sand and stuff, he seems to have tripped and fallen over something and sunk down a bit. Professor Thieker, you seem to have fallen into a pit. The pit is maybe 2 feet deep, and a cloud of ash sort of comes up as you hit it. It smells like a burn pile.
My God, Benny.
In sometimes out in the country, they don't have, they'll burn their paper garbage and stuff like that.
Oh, stumbled into the burn pit. Oh.
Here, let me pull you out of there.
Yeah, thanks.
So
you can see
look inside the pit, and
you can see
as I pull them out, do I see anything in there unusual, or is it all just ash?
It's obvious that paper has been burned. It's also obvious that there is candle wax, and it looks like pieces of cloth, maybe entire garments that were burned, but nothing beyond that. Nothing. I mean, it's weird anyway, but
the garments don't look like anything.
No, because they're all charred, so
gotcha.
You can't really
Okay.
tell.
Okay.
You think maybe they were white, but you're not absolutely sure because they're pretty good. You also, Professor DeWitt has his eyes trained on that damn well, and Professor DeWitt, you have the strongest feeling that something is over there near that well.
I begin to.
Something is watching you.
I call out to it. Elizabeth?
So he's now calling out, yelling, Elizabeth.
Do you see her again?
I can tell there's something watching us. It's eyeing us down.
From where?
From
the well. From where I thought I saw this feminine figure run to. I figured it was that horrible looking woman.
We have to track her down. Things are not what it seems. She seems the most real.
That's the most real. the most real of this whole situation.
Indeed. Much more real than 10 Lester Goodmans from Boston all arriving at the same time or similar time with no car.
I proceed to walk closer to the well.
Elizabeth? Let's walk that way.
Yep, follow.
You're all walking towards the well. All right. You're coming to, let's say you're about 10 feet from the well. You can see the well itself is probably about 10 feet across. It's made of stones. There is a little awning, or I don't know what you call it, like a little roof over it. And you can see that there's a bucket that you can lower down. You wonder if it's more for show than anything else, because they do have working plumbing.
There's gravel all around, right?
Well, there's snow now. So
Okay. Can I reach down in and grab a rock if there's one underfoot and drop it down in the well?
yeah. Are you going to throw it, or are you going to go up to the well and drop it?
I'm going to go up to the well and drop it down in there.
Okay. Do you look down into the well?
Yes, I do. Because I mean, really, I want to get my ear down there and make sure I'm listening,
Okay. Do a power roll.
31 is a pass.
Okay. So as you move up to the well and you have the rocks in your hand and you're going to drop them, and you look over the edge, about 4 feet down from you is this black-haired, fang-toothed woman clinging to the rocks. And as she sees you, she like this, and she starts to reach up towards you. You jump back. You do a sanity roll.
Yeah.
And of course, the rest of you see him do that.
04.
All right. You kind of are used to getting startled, so just take a couple of points of damage.
I've heard about her enough that it's not.
And the thing that sort of puts the nail in the coffin for scaring the crap out of you is just as this happens and you sort of jump back, Jeremiah comes up behind you, and he has in his hands a number of what look like heavy jackets. And he says, is everything all right? Mr. Whalen thought that if you're going to wander around in the snow, that you should at least put on something warm.
There's someone that we've seen in that well, or that some of us have in the well.
She's in the well?
Yeah, she's in the well.
It's very cold. Please.
Now is not the time for a wardrobe change. There's a woman in the well.
This woman that Professor Dakota and Professor Maxim have seen. She's in the well.
He steps forward. He looks at you quizzically, and then he steps forward and he leans over and he looks down the well. And as soon as he does that, these claws come up, grab him by the head. He screams, and it yanks him down inside the well. And you hear a splash, and the coats fall on the ground.
Do we see any of this, or are we too far?
Oh yeah, no, you're standing right there.
My God.
You see blood sort of splatter when he does this.
This is just like what she did to Mr. Wayland.
Everyone do spot hiddens. Everyone do spot hiddens.
05.
I got a regular success.
That's nothing.
That's definitely an extreme success.
Regular success.
Kellier.
All of you who succeeded, well, those of you who didn't succeed, you're staring at the well. You're staring at the blood in the snow. Those of you who did succeed, involuntarily, you look back at the house. And as you do, Jeremiah is about 10 feet behind you, coming up with a handful of jackets. And he says, gentlemen, Mr. Whalen said if you're going to wander around the snow, you should stay warm.
Just point, and I say, no.
Yeah.
Now you can do sanity rolls.
Pass that one.
I failed.
Is there something wrong?
You were just pulled in the
You still up your head.
Oh,
you're in the well. You are in the well. I turn around.
I beg your pardon?
The coats are. I turn around and point where the coats fell. I was like, the coats are on the Are the coats on the ground?
Oh, I see you've already brought coats.
They
Oh,
look exactly the same.
No, you brought those coats and you were pulled in the well and you dropped the coats and then you're there and
I don't understand. And he goes up and does exactly what he did before.
no,
He
please
leans
don't.
over. There's nothing in the well.
Hey, Jeremiah, what day of the month is it? Do you know?
What day of the month? That's rather odd.
Or year, rather.
I don't seem to recall what day of year.
Is it May or is it November? It's mighty cold.
Oh, sorry. I'm
May.
sorry. It seems to have escaped me.
That's all right, my friend. That's fine.
Please just step away from the well. Just, back.
Well, gentlemen, please, if and he goes and he starts picking up the other jackets. If you're not going, you're going to catch your death of cold out here. It must be.
I'll take a
I'll grab a
jacket.
coat.
Thank you very much, Jeremiah.
Dinner will be served in about 20 minutes.
Ooh, what are we having, if I may ask?
Oh, well, Rosemary has made some very nice soup, and there's going to be roast lamb and another more.
Lamb. How apropos.
I assume there'll be a bell.
Well, yes, but I don't know that you'd hear it from out here. It's getting rather
Very
dark.
good point. Good point, Jeremiah.
gentlemen.
Gentlemen, what we just experienced was exactly what I experienced before when I fell off the stairs.
I fear.
Well, if you'll dismiss, if you have everything, then I'll return to the house.
Thank you, Jeremiah.
Thank you.
Will you
Jeremiah.
fetch a torch for us on the way back, Jeremiah? It is getting a bit dark.
A torch?
Or a light lantern, something to help see in the dark.
I'll see what I can find, sir.
Perfect. We'll be over there near the mausoleum.
I worry that there's been something some sort of hallucinogen or something in that tea, maybe. I had a few glasses of tea. I think everybody had tea. Yes.
Yeah, I had a cup.
That would
Do an
explain it.
intelligence roll. As you're talking about that.
Nope.
I got hard.
Hard.
Success.
For those of you that pass, nothing in your experience, and maybe some of you have experimented a little, nothing feels like drug. It doesn't, you don't feel lightheaded. You don't feel nauseous or anything like that. You seem to be in perfect control of your faculties.
I'm going to be honest here with you, gentlemen. My fiance, she works at a cabaret. I feel sober. Like I don't think we're under the, but obviously we're seeing stuff that doesn't make sense. So what the hell's going on here?
And I've seen things in the war, hysteria, psychosis, but not sharing the same type of hysteria and illusions and psychosis.
Right. And we don't have any of the other symptoms that would be, would corroborate a psychosis or drug, trip or.
Gentlemen, if I may, the way the property is made. Remember when we talked about that?
Yes.
The way that it's the circle, everything is almost perfectly symmetrical. I turn around and I want to look to see where possibly I could walk over the line of the circle, basically step out from where everything is perfectly aligned.
The road, the little circular road, you step outside of that, but you've actually been outside that because the barn, the well itself, and the mausoleum are on the other side of that circle. But do a spot hidden for me.
Okay. Failure.
Do the rest of you sort of look at what he's talking about?
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah. If he's pointing around out. Yeah.
You bet.
All right. You can all do spot hiddens as well.
Pass for once.
That is a pass. I could spend 1 point to make it a hard if needed.
Well, I'll tell this to the person who has the lowest number. So what you all, you're the
I
only one
failed.
close to a hard.
I'm going to spend the 1 to make it to a hard. 30 out of 30 out of 60.
As you're surveying the scene, you see the well's sort of now behind you because you've turned that way. And you see the mausoleum over there. It gleams kind of white. It's probably made out of marble. You see the barn over there, and you see the house. It's not a huge house. You can see that it looks to you like there's the main house, and then there's a smaller attachment, which is probably the servants' quarters that are part of it. But it suddenly strikes you, Professor Albee. There is no smoke coming out of any of the chimneys.
So yeah, I turn and I'm looking, where Professor DeWitt's indicating, and then I turn and I look up and I see the chimneys and nothing's coming out. And I remember the warmth because that was the one thing we noticed when we walked in was how warm and the fires were in other rooms. And I'm like, there's no smoke coming out of any of those chimneys. And we know there's fires going in the house. And
That's impossible.
yeah, how could that be possible?
The
Wait,
senses are lying to us.
No smoke and there's heat. No wires and there's light and electricity.
What if this place is what if this place is a prison? It's perfectly in the same way it's always been.
Prison for who?
a prison? Yeah, for what?
For Waylon. He failed it. He failed the operation, and now his only hope is his daughter to succeed it. Maybe it will break them out of this prison.
Or
maybe he succeeded. Maybe he succeeded and bound everything else here. Everything is bound due to his success in the operation.
Yeah, I don't get the sense that he wants to get away from this. So much so that his daughter is now attempting the same thing he failed at.
Perhaps we should head towards the mausoleum as we talk, gentlemen.
Yes.
That might give us a clue to this mystery.
Yes, let's. And I proceed to walk towards the mausoleum.
Follow.
As well.
You walk over towards the mausoleum. It's a rather imposing structure. It's got rather beautiful springtime carvings into the marble, flowers and gardens and things like that. And inside, there's kind of a little inside you can see into. There are two white sarcophagi. One says Elizabeth Wayland. The other one says Augustus Wayland.
Are there dates anywhere?
There are dates.
Okay.
It looks like his wife died about 7 years ago. And it looks like Auguste died a couple of years ago.
I'm assuming they're closed.
Yeah, they're closed. They're sealed.
Any iconography on the walls and the decorations beyond flowers?
Just stuff that you would expect to see on a mausoleum.
No sign of gig or anything?
No sign of...
Like gig or any...
No, there's no
Cthulhu.
no mythological
Okay.
creatures.
What does I mean, I could understand why the lady of the house has a death day, but we have talked to Augustus. Why does he have a death date on?
Maybe that's when his heart died.
Oh.
Because his wife left him.
But if it was waiting for him, then the sarcophagus would be open. These both have bodies in them. One would assume. I don't know if we want to go through the trouble of trying to open them.
There's bars on the door. You can't.
Oh, okay. So even if we had a crowbar, we couldn't get through those bars.
There is something going on with time in this place. Jeremiah could not remember even what year it was, let alone what month or day. And now we have dates of Augustus' death, and there's something wrong with time here. And I
and
don't
your vision
understand.
of the bathroom being completely different, and mine of the house, the landscaping being older and not in good shape. Are we trapped in time? Or are we having visions? How do we even know that we're actually seeing these caskets here in the tomb?
You can all
If
do.
we look back, Tom, does the house dimensions seem reasonable, or does it seem bigger on the inside?
No, it seems reasonable. But you can all do power rolls again.
I was asking about a possible sanity check, but none of us are insane yet, so we can't even do that.
I failed.
Oh, I got a 9.
I just
Pass.
failed. Can I spend 3? Can I spend 3 luck to make that a pass?
If you want to.
That's extreme for
I'll
me.
do it.
Can I spend 11 to pass?
You can spend any amount you want.
Okay.
Just remember,
Okay.
you're wasting your luck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you have to roll a luck roll, it's whatever you have left.
Okay.
I spent 3 to pass.
If you pass, if you concentrate, if you squint your eyes and you stare at the house and you stare at the grounds, it looks dilapidated, at least for a few moments while you're staring at it. And then it seems to be the way that you've seen it all evening long.
No, something's wrong here. Is not quite what it seems.
We need to
mean,
go
Doc?
talk with
The
Veronica.
snow and the wind begin to pick up suddenly. You can feel the temperature literally dropping as you're standing there, and I mean like 0, -10.
I don't know that we should talk to anybody other than we need to walk down that driveway and back out onto the road. And
In this weather, we freeze.
Is this really the weather, though?
if we cross the board, the archway, we may be back in May 4th, and I'll walk all the way to Sonorak. I'll do it myself if I have to. But
Well, let's try at least passing the threshold, see what happens. It is cold.
I'm fascinated by this, though, gentlemen. We have suffered nothing yet. We're men of who are interested in solving problems. Let us figure this out.
I'm a man who's interested in solving problems, who's about to suffer frostbite, it seems.
The house is warm.
But there's no fire coming out of the house.
Nonetheless, we feel warm. Perhaps this cold is a lie as well.
Well, we're also men of science. Perhaps an experimentation is in order. A control group walking out, another group going in the house, and then we compare notes. Walking out should take 10 minutes at best to the threshold.
I am going to turn around and start walking towards the house, only muttering under my breath, Veronica.
Okay.
I'm heading into the house as well, gentlemen. I need to unravel this.
Albie, do you want to go check the threshold of that archway?
I will.
10-minute walk. I'll join you too.
I will. Yes, I will. I'm going to that archway.
Okay.
Let's go.
So on the property, you are exactly opposite. of
Yeah.
the arch.
Right.
And the
So we'll
house
be
is in the
walking
middle.
them back to the house and then head to the archway.
So as you are walking, you're walking towards the house. Just as you start to come around towards the front, Jeremiah steps onto the porch and he says, "Gentlemen, we are now gathering for dinner. Please join us in the dining room."
Sure, we'll be right there.
Yeah. Give us 10 minutes.
We're just checking on the car. We'll be right back.
Yes, we left something in the car. Maybe a gift for the young Veronica.
He looks kind of concerned and he steps back. Professor Dakota and Professor Maxim, are you staying with them?
I'm heading into the house.
Okay.
I am going to head into the house as well.
Okay. So the two of you are going with Jeremy into the house. The other three, from this point on, it seems like every step you take, the snow gets deeper and deeper, and you've only traveled maybe 10 more feet from the front door, and it's already almost 3 feet deep, and you're having to push your way through the snow, and you can feel your pants are getting wet, and it's getting freezing cold, and just 5 more feet, and you can feel the temperature dropping. You're now afraid that you will freeze to death before you will get to the front gate.
Blasted.
This is my time at the Ardennes during winter.
Not willing. I guess I'm not willing to die. We have to turn back, I guess.
But there goes this experiment. Benny?
Yeah, I mean, we can't freeze out here. I guess we'll have to try at a better time.
Time. Time. Funny you say that. And turn around and start, hobbling
turn back.
All right. You go through the front door, and once again, it's warm and light, and you find that your pants are still a bit wet, but the warmth inside the house is better. Professor DeWitt and Professor Walker, you have sort of joined a group of Lesters that are all moving down the hallway towards a couple of double doors that are open. And you can see it's a large formal dining room. So you guys see them going and you just join them?
Absolutely.
Yes.
And the three of you as well?
Sure, we catch up. Yeah.
Yes.
You step into the dining room. It's a well-appointed dining room. There are, there's a big roaring fire and a fireplace. Everybody's sort of taking their stand around. And Wayland, Augustus Wayland says, "Gentlemen, I would like to present my daughter." And a woman steps into the room. She's tall, she's thin, and she has blonde hair. And it looks like she has ashes on her head, in her hair. And visually, she looks like she hasn't eaten a thing in days, but she's got on makeup and she's in a very lovely white dress as she comes in. This is my daughter, Veronica. Veronica will be attempting the Abramelin operation beginning tomorrow morning, from midnight on. She will be sequestered for 18 months, at the end of which we will know whether she was successful or not. And she's like, "I'm very glad you're all here. Thank you for coming." And she goes over by Wayland and she sits down next to him. At which point everybody sits.
I sit down as well.
Is this the first time you've attempted this ritual, Mr. Veronica?
Well, yes, indeed, it has. It's going to be quite grueling, but I've been studying, so I think we have everything that we need, and it's right. Everybody do spot hiddens as you're looking around the room.
Oh, that's a double skull for 100. I didn't see shit.
I finally passed the spot hidden.
85. Nope.
Fumble.
I failed.
Who passed? Sorry.
Pass for once.
Professor Zool, you are, from where you're sitting, you're looking towards the fireplace. And setting on the fireplace, on the mantle, there is a sculpture of a lion. And the lion is, instead of facing into the room, it's actually facing the window that looks outside. And you can see quite clearly that there is a sigil on the base, but it's a little too far away for you to see exactly what it is. Rosemary comes in and she starts serving, she's got a tureen, she starts serving soup. The china bowls are quite lovely, and the soup smells wonderful. What do you guys do?
I say that is a very lovely statue you have there, Mr. Wayland. What is that weird mark on it?
Just a knick-knack I picked up somewhere. Everyone do your power rolls.
While I'm doing that, I think that, I'm cold and soup looks warming, so I sit down.
I failed.
Hard pass.
Just regular failure.
Hard pass for me.
99.
Extreme.
Fumble on a
Extreme
power
success.
roll. Gotta love that.
Maxim got an extreme.
No, I got a
an extreme.
99.
Oh, okay, you failed. Spectacularly.
Dakota
I
got
got
an
a-
extreme. Benny
I
got
got
a
a hard.
failure, and Maxim got a fumble.
So Dakota, you got an extreme. Yes.
Yes, extreme success.
All right. So we've got Dakota and we've got Dr. Peyton and we've got Dr. Virgil. The the Waylands began, sipping their soup, and Professor Maxim and Professor Benny, it smells really good. Maxim, you take a mouthful and it's delicious. It seems to have vegetables and probably lamb in it. You're not quite sure the meat. You don't eat much lamb.
My cook, when
Professor
I was
Benny
young, made something just like this. It's delicious.
Professor Benny, it's good. It's quite good. Professor Virgil, Professor Peyton, you bring it up to your face, and there's something that smells way off. Professor Dakota, you put your spoon into it and bring it up and realize that there is a rat floating in your soup.
My God, the hell is? What are you serving people?
Dakota, my man, what's going on?
It's a rat, a disgusting rat in the soup.
As soon as he says that, you all realize that the soup it's not what you thought that it was. It doesn't taste good, and it smells rancid.
Oh, wait.
Oh,
What the-
soup is bad.
Are you all right? What's going on? You've come into my house and you're insulting our. I don't understand you people.
I apologize, but you have served us bad soup. His has a rat in it, Dakota.
Yes. There's a rat in the soup.
It is.
Are you all mad?
At this point, I don't know if it's madness, craziness, or just mere delusion. What is going on here, Mr. Whalen? What is this prison you've built yourself that's decaying?
I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm quite at my wit's end to understand why you are acting in this manner. Are you not gentlemen?
We mean no offense, sir. Perhaps it's the cold and our travels has made us a bit disoriented. Please forgive us.
Everybody do your pals again.
Success.
Failure.
Failure again. I don't even have enough luck to fix it.
I succeeded.
If you fail, you can't see through the illusion. But if you passed, even just a regular pass, there's nobody in this room but you. This room is dilapidated, and the table is old, and the bowls in front of you are empty, except they've got something old and dried in them. There's no liquid at all. And for a good 30 seconds, looking around, you realize everything is old and damaged in here. It's like nobody's lived here for years. And then it all comes back. And they're all still staring at you like you're crazy. I'd like you to explain yourselves, he says.
And I failed. So I was like talking to myself during all of that for them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was still talking. I was like, no disrespect, but you got to look at yeah. And so then, yeah, here we are.
I beg your pardon, Mr. Wayland. Something must be disagreeing with me. I think I'm going to excuse myself.
All right. So you excuse yourself.
Yeah, I feel like I'm suffering from a similar thing. I'm gonna visit the washroom myself. Thank you. Excuse me.
You were out in that cold for quite a while.
I'm sure that's what it is.
Just need to splash some water on my face and compose myself.
It's a hell of a blizzard for May.
Sir, talking, I'm going to pay more attention to that eagle thing to see.
That's where I'm going as well, to the lion.
When you say May, he looks at you with a very strange look. Like, what are you talking about?
It's May.
May?
What year is this, Mr. Wayland, if you don't mind me asking?
And he suddenly looks very confused. What year?
Is it 1920?
May 1920?
Who are you people?
Veronica, what year is it?
She looks up. She looks at her father. She looks around at you. I don't understand the question.
You should understand what the date.
All of a sudden, everything goes black. Not really black, but there are no lit candles. There is no fireplace. I mean, there's no fire in the fireplace. You're all sitting around, well, except for Albie. You're all sitting around an empty table with, it looks like nobody's been here for years. Albie, every step you took outside of the room heading towards the bathroom, the more dilapidated the house looked. By the time you got there, there's no working plumbing.
Goodness, it's a
So
nightmare.
It's dark. There's no electricity. There's no candles or anything lit.
Yeah, I'm feeling my way. The more I go, I'm trying to keep a hand on the wall.
And there's nobody in the room with you except you people.
Is the lion still there?
Yes, it is. Want to go over and look at it?
Yeah, can we get a closer
Yes.
look?
I'm also going to start shouting out for Elizabeth. Elizabeth, where are you, Elizabeth? Come out.
Okay.
Don't call her. She'll kill us.
She's the only real thing there is here.
But every time she
Too
killed
real.
somebody,
Right.
you saw her come
Well,
back.
We'll
You saw him come back.
get back to him yelling that out in a moment. But first, this is what you have from the symbol that's on the line.
Awesome.
So this would be 21999 and then we don't count the 9. Is that correct?
You do count the last one.
Okay.
So our spread here looks about BKT, AJS, IR, ENW, IR.
Barrier?
I was going to say, I wish I was there because I know it.
Very
Barrier, right?
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
So a prison, a barrier. If we see a lion and an eagle,
Let's go look at the head in the window.
who wants to
The
bet there's
human
also an
face.
ox? Because there are 4
Absolutely.
faces.
Let's go find the head first. The human head.
All right. Do a dex roll to see if you trip and fall over anything.
All of us?
Oh, yeah, if you're all going to the parlor.
Spending 5 luck not to fall and break my neck.
Regular success.
Okay.
I got a
Regular
hard-
success.
I got a
I got
regular
a hard
success.
success.
You
I got a
manage
I got a
not
hard
to.
success.
You manage not to trip and fall or break anything or so forth. All right. You step into the room. You step into the room. You look at the statue and you realize on the opposite side of it, the side facing outwards, on the tie, you see this.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Oof.
So 9, 2.
6, but yeah.
6, yeah.
Sorry. 6, 2, 1, 2, 1, 3, 5.
So it has to be O something because the second word is going to be all consonants.
Right. And it so it looks like we've got FOX, BKT, AJS, BKT, AJS, L or CLU, ENW, right?
Right. So either
OB,
OB something or
ST,
OT something.
Obsta.
Obstacle?
Probably obstacle, yeah.
Yeah, obstacle. Yeah.
Perfect. So barrier, prison, obstacle. The next one is probably something similar. So 4 sets of magic squares all talking about prisons, traps, barriers, blocks. We could probably not look at the 4th one and logic would dictate or suggest that it's the same thing. Something's been trapped here.
You all hear a squeak of a floorboard behind you. And Mr. Wayland steps into the parlor where you are. And he looks at you. And for a moment, he stares. He looks very confused. And he says, gentlemen, I'm very confused.
What's the last thing you remember?
I remember a party.
Were we at the party?
I believe that's where I know you from.
Right. You recognize us from somewhere.
How many Lesters were in your party?
There seem to be some gaps in my memory. Professor Virgil, just before he showed up, you yelled, Elizabeth. Now that he's talking to you, you hear a growling. I mean, it's coming from somewhere in the house. And he looks around like he's afraid of something. He says, do you hear that?
What did you do to her, Augustus? What
I
did you do to Elizabeth?
My wife? My wife died. She had cancer.
What did you do to Elizabeth? You or Veronica?
I've done nothing to Elizabeth. Veronica's my daughter.
What year is it?
I don't understand what you say. Something very dark is happening here. What happened to my house?
Agreed. Something very dark is happening, sir.
You
we're trying to unravel it.
You suddenly hear something running down the hallway, and just as Waylon looks, he suddenly throws his hands up, and
Not again.
the demon thing leaps onto him, screeching, and begins tearing him limb from limb. And as it does, it suddenly isn't there.
What?
Gentlemen, this feels like this is his personal hell. He's done something. This is his prison. This is repeating constantly.
He's been bound.
He suddenly
by the
comes
operation.
walking back into the room, and he's like, "Gentlemen, I think I might have a clue as to what's happening."
Please, go
Please
on.
tell us, sir.
I may have failed at the Evermillion operation.
You did.
The first one or the second one?
I
Continue, please, sir.
think I'm dead.
Mr. Whalen, I think you are. I think you failed this operation and you're trapped here, trapped in time, in space.
I'm very confused. Oh, here's my daughter. And Veronica steps around the corner. She says, "Am I dead also, Father?" And he's like, "I don't know."
What of us?
We're now part of this. We couldn't leave. Remember, we tried.
Well, that was the old.
The answers might be upstairs.
Let's go look. Perhaps there's the
Yes, and
ox.
perhaps we can find the ox as well. Yes.
Maybe that's the key.
I will
All of them?
consult some of the books in my library and see if there's a way to stop whatever it is that's going on.
I was going to ask that, Tom. Is there anything in my occult knowledge that would explain a way to break a binding
Well,
put on by this operation?
there is definitely traditionally ways to banish demons. Wayland seems to indicate he doesn't think that it's his wife, that it's a demon that's pretending to, or at least using that form, because his wife was dead long before he attempted any of this. In fact, it's kind of one of the reasons why he attempted it, find some answers.
Makes so much sense.
So he stands close to his daughter, and they're like, we're very confused about who we are and when we are, but the answers lie in the house somewhere.
I move past them quickly and head up the stairs.
Following right behind.
All right. You get to the top of the stairs. There's not a lot to the upstairs. There are 2 doors on the left and 1 door on the right. Which ones do you want? Door one left, 2 left, and right.
Let's go through the right first.
Yeah.
Cross.
Let's
All
go
right.
through the right.
You step through the right-hand door. It opens without any difficulty. It's not locked. It's obviously a man's bedroom. Everything in it is rather masculine. It's dusty. It's dirty. It looks like rats have made a nest in the bed clothing. And there are a number of things here and there. There's also a large, I don't know if you're familiar with Judaism, but they keep the Torah in scrolls in a box on the wall. It looks like there's something like that on the wall. You can see that he's got copies of the Bible, the Quran, the various holy books, the Bhagavad Gita, and so forth. And if you actually check inside this, it is indeed a Torah, the way it's supposed to be in the scroll form.
Yes, I was saying, because it's supposed to be, you only take it out on certain times of the year, so
Right.
put it in there.
And
So, wow.
on his desk, you also find a journal. These are kind of
I'll do it.
excerpts. This is what you find that's important in the journal.
6 months into the Abramelin operation. It is amazing how the same concept can appear across different religions, albeit wearing a different face and bearing a different name. The Malakim are God's messengers, part of a heavenly hierarchy, and have no physical form. Although Maimonides proposed they are metaphorical representations of the laws of nature and universal principles. The Malachi are messengers and agents of God's will, also part of a celestial hierarchy, and their forms are incomprehensible. Even in dreams, they manifest in different forms. The various branches of Christianity portray angels differently. Catholicism divides them into 9 choirs and describes them as being forever incorporeal. Although the seraphim are also described as 6-winged, the cherubim as 4-faced, having faces of a lion, an ox, a human, and an eagle. The thrones, burning wheels, rimmed with eyes, etc. Protestantism describes them as genderless and invisible messengers and agents of God's will. If it is required to ensure that God's will is enacted, they can become corporeal. I wonder exactly how I will describe the unequaled beauty of my holy guardian angel when the time comes. I wonder this every day. The last entry. At midnight tonight, 18 months have elapsed in their entirety. Tomorrow, I begin the final stage before. If I am successful this time, my holy guardian angel will appear. The next time I write here will confirm my success or my failure. I hope for the former.
Is that his guardian angel, his wife?
But he failed. He failed again.
He brought something over.
Well, if you don't bring an angel, then you must have brought a demon back.
And if he did, who was the trap for? Is it for him or a last-ditch attempt to trap the demon with him?
I leave
If
very
it's a
quickly.
trap for the demon, then we better not break the barrier without sending the demon back where it came from.
Right, and who is the demon?
The demon's inhabited the body of his wife, it appears. So,
Or it's taken the identity of his wife.
But where does the daughter come in? Because in his story, there's nothing about the daughter having started the ritual or did any preparation. And yet we see burnt clothes. So unless he was wearing that gown, and I shudder at that image, where does all this come from?
I leave the room in a rush and I head across the hallway to the other doors.
Okay.
Dakota, wait up!
You can go like straight across to this door. So go straight across. You try to open the door, and it doesn't open, but it doesn't seem to be locked. And do a spot hidden. You guys are all coming up behind him, so you can do spot hiddens too.
Extreme success.
Oh,
No.
okay. Well, that's
Back to 98. I'm blind again.
I got a 94.
well. So
Regular
he
success.
sees it. You don't. You realize as you're trying to like fiddle with the door, you realize that all around the door frame, where the door meets the frame, there seems to be some sort of substance. You look closer and maybe flake a little piece of it off, and you realize that it's beeswax. The door has been sealed closed with beeswax. Now, you're pretty sure you can force it open. But that seems to be all that's holding the door closed.
I think it would be a very bad idea to open this door.
Does this mean anything to you, Maxim? Beeswax sealing a threshold?
Can I check occult?
Yeah, sure.
Let's see. That would be almost an extreme success.
Oh, well, you're thinking that maybe it's part of the Abramelin operation, that she has to seal herself inside if she's going
Right.
to do it. So
That makes sense.
there also is a sand component, so maybe it's to keep the sand
But she
inside the
shouldn't
room as well.
She shouldn't have started yet unless we. I don't
Unless
understand.
She's the one that's trapped. Maybe he
Perhaps.
failed, he
Yes.
died, and she tried to bring them both back, and now they're stuck. That's why she's here.
I tried to force the door open.
I think that you don't need luck. You push it, you hit it a couple times, and you can sort of hear the sound of the beeswax cracking. And as it cracks, the door slides open a couple of inches, and a little rivulet of sand comes out of the room. It looks like the whole room has been, filled with a couple of inches of sand. You push it open, and what you can see is in the center of the room, there is a square table. It looks to be decorated in a ritualistic manner. There is a large, very ornate, beautiful lamp hanging over it. The only thing I could find was lit. And in this case, the lamp is not lit, but it looks kind of like that.
Okay.
It looks like on one side of the cube there is an opening, and you can see that there are little boxes of things inside. There's also a wardrobe against the wall with white linen robes, multiple ones hanging there. And in front of this altar, there is what is left of a woman. She is dry and desiccated. And she is partly standing and partly leaning towards the altar. And you can see that what's propped her up is she has a long wooden wand, maybe 3 or 4 feet long. On one end, it is pointed, and the other end, it's maybe an inch or so thick, and it is propped on the ground, and she has thrown herself onto it. So it's going through her and coming out her back. You can do sanity rolls.
The first success of the night, apparently. For
That's a
me.
fail. Failed.
I succeeded.
Yeah. 1d4.
And then is it on fail or pass?
Oh, 1d4 on a fail.
Okay.
I'll
Then just
take
one
one
or
point if you pass.
That's my 5th point of sanity loss.
That's okay, as long as you only have to lose them all at the same time.
I am 2 from having lost a whole 5th of mine. So I'll mention that if that happens.
Okay. What do you guys do?
What?
You can also see that
Veronica.
at the other end of the room, there's like a little archway that leads into that other room.
And no ox in this room, yeah.
No ox. You can see that there's like a 2x4 that goes across the floor between the rooms so that the sand doesn't spill into what looks like her bedroom.
Yeah, I headed to the bedroom.
I'm going to look in the sand and see if there's any words written in the sand before.
There doesn't seem to be. There seems to be in these boxes little squares of paper. And there's a couple of writing implements. It looks like maybe these would be used to create the magic squares to cast the spells. But she doesn't look like she got that far. And the fact that she seems to have done this to herself. That's your best guess.
Head to the other room.
If I look at the boxes, do they look unwritten?
Correct. There's nothing written
Okay.
on anything.
Okay.
Maxim, what were the 3 parts to this operation? I remember there was one about summoning an angel and then binding demons. When does the wand come in? Do you recall?
The wand is part of the ritual to summon the guardian angel.
She's supposed to write things in the sand. That's why the floor is all sand.
So this failed during the first step while she was summoning the angel, not even the binding of the demons yet.
Before she'd even written anything in the sand, by all appearances.
Huh.
Agreed. Very strange. Especially because it appears, and correct me if I'm seeing this wrong, but I believe she did this to herself.
To stop something.
Professor Albee, you and a few of the others have stepped into the bedroom.
Yeah.
There's cobwebs. I mean, it's obviously this happened a while back. She's back there. She's desiccated. Everything is very perfectly laid out. There's a number of books for her to study, including the Abramelin operation, the older text, which she has. She's got quite a lot of early Christian and Jewish Kabbalah and patriarchal stuff, and patristic stuff. Apparently, there's a whole regime that she has to follow to do this. And like her father, on an identical journal, it's designed. It's probably made of special materials and everything, just like her father's was. You see that sitting there as well.
Okay. This is passages from Veronica Whalen's journal. Before beginning the Abramelin operation, I've said before I do not believe it was a heart attack. My father was murdered. I am certain of this, but I need proof. All I have is the text he followed. That must be it. Lester Goodman sold him the book and the lamp. Who is he? Why did he want my father dead? The only way to obtain proof is to follow in my father's footsteps and trap the being that did this to him once it appears again. I'm confident I can hold it here once it is summoned. I know the arts by which I can interrogate it. If it withstands my questioning, at least I will have it imprisoned to show others. The authorities will have to believe me then. I will draw upon the power of Saturn to construct a ward that will hold the spirit. Sigils created from its Kamea will mark the 4 cardinal directions and turn the house into a prison it cannot escape. Should the need arise, these may be brought together around the spirit to banish it, akin to tightening a noose around its neck until it has no direction left in which to flee but back to the invisible world from whence it came. Barrier, bind, obstacle, prison. These words will hold the spirit in Saturn's leaden grip. May the faces of the angels that guard the gates of May the faces of the angels that guard the gates of the Garden of Eden guard this house and prevent any evil from leaving. The last entry. Midnight. 18 months have come to an end. If I fail tomorrow and I follow in all my father's footsteps, ultimately to my own grave, I hope that someone might one day read this and succeed in bringing the guilty to justice. May the fruit of any victory the spirit may attain prove to be of Saturnine Chalice indeed.
So as you read this out, I'm gonna come in, and I'm assuming you tell us about the better version of the book. Can I check the Latin verses on this better version and how it compared to the wonky version that I saw earlier?
You can compare them, but they're identical.
Okay, so nothing amiss.
Right. This one is also in German, but it's in an older German. So it's, unless you can read German, it doesn't make any sense to you at all. As you are standing there, you hear Mr. Wayland in the hallway outside. And he says, gentlemen, I think I've made a bit of a discovery, something that I think is the case here. I think that we summoned a demon. We must have made a mistake. And I have the Key of Solomon, which you may be familiar with. There is a little connecting room between our house and the servants' quarters, where Jeremy and Rosemary live. It's got a large flat cement floor. Perhaps we can attempt to banish the demon. And he shows you inside the book, and he shows you this, which is, in fact, the Key of Solomon. You might, the occultists would recognize it. It's a rather complex thing, but he points then to the top and he says, all that we really need to do is to draw the part where the demon gets sent back to hell. And he shows you that is just this part of that same thing. He says, we need to draw this on the floor and encircle it. And there is a chant that is here that will draw the demon towards the circle and trap it there and then send it back to hell. At least according to, the Key of Solomon. And then it should all be,
Wayland. That's very insightful. Perhaps let's do some research while you keep investigating, and we can meet back in your library to discuss more.
As you wish.
And the other thing that I think is interesting is that your daughter did create a binding, a prison for the demon here in the house, and a way we can more strictly tighten it, tie it closer with these bindings.
Where do you know where the ox is?
I don't know what you're talking about. No.
We haven't been in the kitchen or the servants' quarters or.
I think we need to do what Wayland's saying. I think we need to go and perform this ceremony. We have to send this demon back. It's the only thing that keeps the cycle repeating, because it's like what they were trying to do. They were trying to do this ceremony and it didn't work. It failed. So
I agree.
Might also be our only way out of here.
He steps away and starts going downstairs.
Okay, gentlemen, 2 questions.
Oh.
One, do you actually trust this Augustus? Who keeps killing Augustus? A mother. Are we sure Augustus isn't what the demon is posing as, and the mother keeps protecting the daughter?
you think the woman with the maw of sharp teeth is not the demon?
She's erasing illusions, and the daughter clearly has a way of banishing the demon. I don't know what this ritual does, and perhaps Maxim has more insight, but what if the ritual from Augustus frees the demon?
Maxim, you know your occult. The magic triangle, it's fairly common in a lot of early stuff. The Key of Solomon, it has written around it the name Michael, the archangel, and it has 3 names for God. So that's what they would have supposedly used in ritualistic magic. It's very familiar to you.
Yes, it's very powerful in the Kabbalah and various Judeo mysticism to use this as a binding. So to me, what is being suggested by our dead host makes perfect sense, as much sense as anything else.
And the moving of the statues to close the prison in, that doesn't?
That does as well. I don't think we should do one and not the other. I think we should do them both. I think we should see if we can bring those sigils, those corners of the prison closer together. And the first step would be to find the ox. But I would think, since that's the only part of the house we haven't explored, where we're being told to go is where the ox is as well.
So we should take them all to that gold pulpit, probably, because that seemed incredibly heavy.
So you're thinking we'll slowly close the box until we get to this location in the servants' quarters, at which time the spirit will be trapped, and we conduct the circle using the wand from poor Veronica here. Is that your intent?
As Dr. Albee said, I'm not sure whether we can move the item on the pedestal, but I would agree that the drawing the Key of Solomon on a solid floor is a good plan. But we have not seen the servants' quarters yet, so we don't know what's down there. I'm only going based on the word of a ghost.
Let's head down there then.
Yeah,
let's see this for ourselves.
Let's go down.
Absolutely.
You leave the room. You head down the stairs. And, Gustus and Veronica meet you at the bottom of the stairs.
Can I bring the book with me?
They look oddly, for just a moment, confused. Like, who are you again? And then they remember, and they're like, have we figured out what we're going to do?
Veronica, do you remember what happened when you tried the ceremony?
I don't.
Try hard. You fasted for 18 months.
She starts to think, and as she does that, you start to hear a noise somewhere in the house and growling, and she suddenly stops thinking and she looks around like the thing is coming. The demon. It doesn't like us trying to figure things out.
We can't ask them for help. If we ask them for help, that's what brings her out, and she will kill them before we can figure this out. We need to go to the servants' quarters.
At least not
back immediately.
Not until we have the symbols drawn on the floor. The thing won't be able to get out of that circle once it's in.
So we have to put it in first.
You start drawing.
Once we start chanting, it should be drawn to the triangle.
I I vote we start doing that.
Yes, let's go to the servants' quarters and see the situation there and see if that's an appropriate place to draw the Key of Solomon.
All right. So you're not going all the way you go through the kitchen. And now when you walk into the kitchen, you realize that it's in a filthy state. There were pots and pans that at some point had been cooking stuff, but it's all dried, and you can hear maybe the scratching and squeaking of rats in the walls. You step through a little back door, and it becomes apparent that the main house and the servant's house were separated by about 20 feet or so. But then at some point in the past, they enclosed the interim. So there's a large cement floor. There's little steps going down, cement floor, steps going up to the servant's house. And there's storage in here. They've got furniture and they've got extra this and that and some cabinets and stuff. But there is a large expanse of blank floor. As you get there, Veronica reaches out and hands you a little box. It's ornate, and she says it's colored chalk.
Thank you very much.
I open the box and I go,
Yeah,
Professor Walker, show me how to draw it. And I start to push furniture out of the way.
We didn't see any ox on the way, did we?
you did not.
Okay.
Are you all right
yes.
there, Dakota? You seem very focused on drawing the circle and following.
This is the only way to stop it. This demon is causing this. This is a prison. And the only way that we can stop this and for us to return back to our reality is we have to complete this ceremony. We have to seal it and send it back to hell.
Can I do
I concur.
Sight check on Dakota to see if that's him talking or
Sure.
if it seems he's a bit,
Everybody else does their psychology rolls on you and says, my God, he's paranoid.
all right, I'm spending 8 luck because I'm paranoid to make it a hard.
He seems to be in his right mind, but you're all extremely agitated and frightened.
Okay.
I mean, you've seen that demon a number of times now, and it's attacked anyone who's attempting to do something to it.
Let's draw.
I'm moving stuff out of the way if there's stuff to move.
Let's do the ceremony.
So the Waylands give you instructions. You draw the circle first, and then you fill it in with green, which you fill that in. And then you write the name of Michael around it. And then you draw the triangle. And then you start writing the names of God around the outside edge. As soon as you start writing the names of God, you hear this blood-curdling screech from somewhere in the house. And it sounds like things are being knocked over, and in great fury, it's approaching your direction as you guys are doing this.
Quickly, gentlemen, everyone take chalk and draw.
You draw. I'm going to try and find a weapon. I look around the room and see if there's something that I can get as a blunt object.
There's various things, pieces of furniture, old pieces of furniture that are broken.
I break off
legs and. All right.
I break off a table leg.
Again, this thing has done nothing to us. It's only attacked illusions.
You hear crash coming from the kitchen, which is right through that door. And all of a sudden, the demon woman thing, comes around the corner. You can see her nails are long and sharp, and she's growling and hissing as she comes rushing into the room. And she's definitely going to attack. Dakota, you were ready. So what do you want to do? You want to?
Yeah, I want to take a swing at her.
Okay. Go ahead.
Extreme success.
Nice. Okay. That is a club. So a club does 1d8 plus damage bonus if you have one.
D8. Yep. 5, and then it's a great question if I have damage bonus.
Should be bottom right.
Yeah, hold on. Sorry.
Unless you're really strong and big. Probably.
Yeah. Oh, I had it up. No damage bonus.
Okay. She failed to dodge. So you bring that club down on top of her. And I mean, you can feel it's physically hitting something, you know. She hisses and screeches and sort of rolls back around in a kind of almost like she's a martial artist. She flips and rolls and lands back on her feet. And she is going to go for Professor Thieker.
Oh, man.
You've just kind of, she's rolled closer to you. She
Okay.
turns and she is diving at you like this. What do you do?
I suppose I will attempt to dodge. I'm not very good at this.
Go ahead.
No, I don't have the luck to make that.
I rolled exactly the same thing I rolled last time. So
Oh.
you do manage to sort of roll out of the way.
Very clumsily, but
And she screeches and she's down on the ground like she's some sort of an animal. As the rest of you are trying to write, Veronica and Mr. Wayland, they begin to speak in Latin out loud. You can see they're holding hands, and as they do this, you see the creature sort of grab its ears and it rolls around. It's going to try to get Professor Zool. What do you do?
Oh, I'm going to dodge as I am. Can I also later find out what they're saying in Latin with my 40 Latin? Ooh, 53 over 25. I failed.
I got a 16.
There you go.
So the thing rolls and leaps in your direction and lands on your chest, and you fall backwards.
Right.
And it's going to do 1 point of damage.
My
So you're
shirt.
bleeding,
I mean,
and you're struggling with it on the ground.
Zool!
Does anybody else want to do anything?
I mean, I've heard how it has to get in the circle. So with that only going through my mind, I'm going to try to grab onto it.
Okay. You're going to try to grapple?
Yeah, I'm going to do something real dumb.
Is there any way I can help him with that, or?
Sure.
Yeah, I'm just going to try to help him corral her, this thing into the circle.
You do a grapple too.
Okay.
Okay.
Was I too distracted to hear what they were saying in Latin, or?
Well, it's not in your head right now, but it sounds like stuff you'd hear in church, as smoke vanishes, so let them vanish, as wax melts before the fire.
Okay,
so let the demons.
nothing, no weird demonic chant of death.
No, it doesn't sound.
Okay.
Yeah.
An attempt was made.
This is brawl,
Right.
right? I wrote a 40. I'm going to spend my 15 luck to get that down to 25 for a pass.
It reaches out and grabs a hold of Dr. Thieker. And you feel it. It's the fingernail sort of, it grabs you by the ankle and sort of digs itself in, does 1 point of damage. Professor Peyton, it sounds like you're going to kick the damn thing.
Yeah.
At least, you said you wanted to grapple it.
I want to try to grab at it. Yeah.
Okay. I got a 99. So
Hey!
you wrap your arms around it and it struggles. And what do? You drag it towards the...
Yeah, I want to try to drag it into the circle where we need to get it.
Okay. You drag it into the center just as whoever is finishing the last letters on the ground. And it's funny because it almost feels, when you're holding a magnet and you get near something and you can feel that sort of pull by the magnet. That's kind of what it feels. And suddenly she's kind of pulled out of your hand, and it's like she's stuck in a tube, and she's screeching, and she's violently shaking, and she's clawing at it as she's stuck there. Veronica and Wayland look at you, and they're like, stand up, get up.
Yeah, get up off
all
the
need to
floor
hold
from
hands.
Reach out and hold the nearest hands.
And they start saying this Latin chant. Once again, it still sounds like something in church. And you can feel the ground in the building starting to shake. And you see the thing starting to turn black. And it's almost like it's smoking and it's catching fire. And then suddenly it seems like it's sucked right down into the ground with a sort of a gawoomph like this. And everything suddenly is calm. And Wayland and his daughter are like, we're still here.
You're still here.
If we're dead and the demon was keeping us here, we still seem to be trapped here.
By the prison that you created, Veronica. The prison you created for the demon.
She looks at you once again, kind of confused. Everyone, Professor Maxim, do a idea roll.
07.
Oh, nice.
Hey.
Yeah, so that's an
07.
extreme
It's
success.
suddenly all of this stuff that you've been reading and going over, and all the stuff that's going on, it suddenly, the words from all of this seem to get stuck in your head. The angels with 4 faces, and they all face forward and they follow the cardinal directions. And it suddenly dawns on you, the statue is at that end, the lectern is at that end, the ox was at that end, and behind you is the servants' quarters. That must be where the ox is. That end of the property. That
Indeed.
end of the house.
The ox is this way, gentlemen.
Yes, let's go.
And you think because like the Garden of Eden, and if we move even one of them, the barrier would be broken?
I think we may have to do more than move one of them. I think we may have to destroy one to break the prison.
Let's start with moving it.
All right. You go into the servants' quarters, and there's like a little hallway that opens up into their living space, and there's a bedroom and all of that. And you are suddenly shocked and horrified to see that lying on the floor against the wall are 2 desiccated corpses. One of them is obviously Rosemary, and she's holding Jeremy, and they've been rotting there on the floor all this time. But directly across on the windowsill, looking out the window, is the bull.
Another thought here is they're all facing outward, correct?
Correct.
So we might, as you said, just be able to turn them facing inward.
And I think you already know that one's bind.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I walk up to it and I'm just going to turn it.
Okay.
See if that does anything.
Nothing
Are
happens,
the spirits with us?
But you feel that it's extremely heavy. I mean, it's not big, it's little,
Right.
but it's probably the littlest of all of the things. But it's definitely made from lead. So it's pretty heavy. It also occurs to you that lead is fairly soft, that these sigils were not, part of these things originally. They were gouged into them. So
Yeah, so I take something metal nearby and run it through the marking that says bind.
okay, you're going to scratch
Yep.
it out. All right. I don't know. You find a letter opener, we'll say, and
That works.
pick up the bowl, and you scratch it, and when you do that, everything seems to shake, like something has fallen down somewhere, like a barrier has fallen.
I think we may have freed our spirit friends. Are they still here? Are they with us?
They're gone.
Is there a window to look out of right
There
here?
is.
What's it look like outside?
You look out the window, and there is no snow on the ground.
Oh,
I think
That's
we're
a
free to
relief.
go.
Oof.
Frankie, let's get the hell out of here.
Let's
20-mile walk it is.
well,
This
let's
is going to
take
be
they have a vehicle.
I mean, yeah, I guess we'll
Perhaps.
check to see if that actually was a vehicle. But yeah, I guess we'll take some of this that we can carry, and we'll get the hell out of here.
You all start to hear a noise.
Oh no.
It's an odd noise, like a hum. It's a vibration. You can feel it inside your chest more than you can hear it at first. It's odd, like there are harmonics, musical harmonics to it. Something in the house is moving. Maybe the house itself is swaying a little bit or vibrating, like whatever it is has not completely come down yet. Like a machine that's damaged but still trying to function. You guys
Now,
want to do?
the spirits are gone already.
Spirits are gone.
If we attempt to
Basically.
leave, gentlemen, do you suppose we'll be able to?
I wouldn't.
We could scratch the other markings just to be safe. I mean, just
Right, but why would we if we can leave without scratching?
but why would we not?
I wonder if that's the sound of the guardian angel coming down.
The humming is getting
Everything
louder.
else has been true.
I walk
Scratch or go.
towards,
Yeah,
I walk towards the humming. I'm intrigued by it, almost hypnotized by it.
Okay.
I'll take the I'll reach for the letter opener or whatever.
Yeah, let's go. Scratch time.
Yeah.
Take
All
it, and I'm running to whatever the closest next one is.
You
Yeah, I go with Professor DeWitt. This has been the way to go the whole time. Go to the thing.
you run back through the kitchen and down the hall. You now directly to your right is the dining room where the lion is.
I'm going in there and scratching.
Scratching
Yeah.
the lion. Once
I
again,
guess-
the house vibrates when you do that, like
As we-
something is breaking.
Yeah, as we pass through the kitchen, if there's like a rusty knife, I'll grab that. And
Sure.
once I see he's already got the line, I'm going to head towards where we saw the eagle.
All right. You go into the library where the eagle is, and you're going to scratch that out.
Yep.
And then I assume you're going to go to the.
Yeah, we'll probably meet up at the last one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope it doesn't cause the house to fall around about our ears.
You scratch the last thing, and as you do, this humming sound almost becomes like pipe organ music. It becomes very loud, and you're in the parlor, and there's light coming from somewhere inside. As you step out of the parlor, there's this blinding light shining down from the top of the stairs, and there's something there moving, and it's moving forward. and inside your minds, it's like there's a pressure, and there's this voice. It sounds like 10 people all talking at different octaves, and it says, "Who has freed me?" Now, do you guys look to see what's coming?
I feel like I kind of have to.
Reaction says we have.
You gotta have to. You can't.
D100, here we come.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Yeah, buddy.
I think I know who it is. You know,
Going
yeah.
toward
I think
the
I do
voice.
too.
Yeah.
What appears at the top of the stairs and is moving downwards is this. Who has freed me?
Sanity?
You guys are kind of wide-eyed at the moment, but your sanity is in a moment of insanity. It says, "As a reward, if you wish, I will show you the face of God." You can do sanity just to see what you do.
Ooh, 10. Pass.
Again, I got a 14. It's like I failed all sanity rolls until the final two.
I got
failed.
43. Pass.
Pass in this case, I would like you to do a 1d6.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Fail, I'd like you to do a 1d10.
Ooh.
1.
I lost 2, which
Yeah.
that's exactly puts me over my threshold. I've
I
taken
lost-
a fifth of my sanity and I'm indefinitely insane.
Ooh.
I lost 7.
Anybody else lose more than 5?
9.
9. All right.
I don't think
And that's also well, Pep. 9
I think-
is
Yeah.
my
if I'm correct, y'all actually get intelligences, but
Yeah.
because I went over my threshold, I'm insane. I'm indefinitely insane.
DeWitt and Walker, please roll your intelligence rolls.
I also went over my threshold.
Oh,
That's cool. That's cool.
and you might have 2. You might have 2. Double
I-
insanity.
Dr.
Failed.
Walker. You failed?
I failed.
Excellent. You want to fail that intelligence roll. Dr. Walker, I would like you can do as you wish. Okay. You're terrified, but you can do as you wish in a moment. Dr. DeWitt, roll a 1d8. So let me.
Should I do the same for my indefinite, or do you want to do something different for
Gotcha.
that? Okay.
7.
Okay. As you're standing there and this thing is coming, you realize that all of your friends, all of the doctors that you're with, have begun to sprout tentacles and monstrous appendages, and they're horrifying, and all you can do is scream. Those of you who passed your sanity, you have a choice. What do you want to do? It has asked you, do you want to see the face of God? In this horrible booming chorus of voices.
I don't think I have a choice.
You do have a choice. I'm telling you, you have a choice.
Yes.
Yeah, I think Albie just like, please show me.
Benny?
Likewise.
I'm indefinitely insane. So
Yeah, but
I'd
you can still
probably-
make the choice.
I guess I'll say I don't believe that it's God.
Professor Maxim, what are you going to do?
I say yes as well.
Okay.
This is like the most exciting moment of my occultist life.
I guess prove me wrong. Prove us wrong.
And Professor Dakota, you're kind of out of your mind at the moment. Do you want to run screaming, or do you want to?
Yeah, I think at this moment, I would imagine if he's just broken this much, he wants to run away from the monsters. So he'd run away
You
screaming.
run to the front door, you throw it open, and you run out and down the path. The rest of you, the creature says, "So be it." And something happens to you. It's as if your physical bodies dissolve and you become things of energy and light. And this thing in front of you is hideous beyond imagination, covered in eyes and tentacles and light. And it wraps itself around you, and you vault into the sky in a great, burst of flame and light. Dakota, if you actually look back, you see this whole thing go up into the sky as the house completely starts collapsing around them. And the four of you are delivered to the court of Azathoth. Where,
Where Saul leaves, he's going to scream, "I told you so!"
Where you dance and rotate for eternity, screaming in horror. And that is the end of our story.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Bravo.
That was fun.
This is fun.
When you said pipe organs, I was like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
We are absolutely fucked. We're about to be that.
But we had to say yes. We had no choice.
Yeah, could not say
Now-
yes.
Not in our characters.
The explanation for this is going to take a little bit, but
Man.
this game is lies within lies within lies within lies. First of all, make up characters. I could have had you made up gangsters or
Anything. Yeah.
anything because it doesn't matter. Nothing that you experienced until the end was real. There were no ghosts. There was no party. There was no Lester Goodman. What happened was this. Lester Goodman, the original Lester Goodman, is actually Nyarlathotep.
Oh.
And what he did was when Wayland was looking around for the better text of the Abramelin operation. By the way, it's real. It's a real thing. I'm not saying that it really works, but I'm saying that it exists. You can buy it on Amazon. Nyarlathotep thought he'd have a little fun. So what he did was he gave him the correct version of it. But what he also gave him was a chaos lantern. And that was the lantern that was hanging upstairs. And every single time he lit that, which was every day, it drew magic points away from him. And once it reaches a certain level, it summons a servitor of Azathoth. And so what he thought was a guardian angel was in fact a servitor of Azathoth. And what Wayland really wanted to know was, is there a God? Is there something afterwards? And he had a heart attack as a result of seeing this thing. So his daughter comes back because she wasn't there all the time that he was. And when she gets there, what she doesn't realize is this thing has done this to her father. So you read her journal. She figures she'll recreate whatever he did. And she doesn't realize that she's doing the same thing. She's lighting the candle or the lantern, and eventually it summons that thing. And except this time she was prepared. So she had created a Saturnine Chalice with the statues and so forth, with the sigils, so that when it came, it was trapped and it couldn't get away. The problem was she had completely underestimated it. It wanted to find a way to escape from her trap, so it started sucking out her memories. And when she realized that, she killed herself so that it couldn't find a way to get out. So the thing's been brooding there in the house. And as it's gotten older, it's reached out and looking for a way to escape. And when it saw you coming by, it created the illusion that your car was stopped and that it drew you to it so that you would come here. And then it decided to put on this elaborate sort of pantomime to see if you could figure out what was wrong. But the fun thing is, this is an extra dimensional creature from another universe. It doesn't know how electricity works or what alcohol is or things like that. So when you would ask those questions, it really honestly didn't know what the hell you were talking about. It didn't understand. It understood that the light went off and on because it saw that, but it didn't realize it was broken. So there's all kinds of weird flaws in what it thinks and knows. It's basically, it's trying to create this weird thing. Since it's drawn some of the information out of Waylon's mind and Veronica's mind about the drawing the circles and all that, that was all just to get you to figure out what was binding it there. It couldn't see the statues that you were talking about. It couldn't see the sigils. But you guys figured that part out for it and you let it go. If none of you had gone with it, it would have started to destroy everything around it.
Wow.
If you guys had all died, if you'd have tried to get away from it and frozen to death, which it would have killed you, it would have just started over again with the next person that came along. So it was patient and it was deadly, and that was the story.
That's
really
great.
Good. That was
Yeah.
really
That's
good fun, yeah.
really exciting.
Yeah.
Now, were those 11 Lester Goodman's illusions, or was it Nyarlathotep just having fun and it was actually him?
Well, I suppose that's up to your own interpretation, but the truth is the only other person that ever visited was Lester. So the only thing it knew, it didn't know about other people.
11 dinner guests, they're all Lester.
Right. Which I think is probably my favorite part of
I love
the whole
that.
story.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just want to say it's funny. I've got an entire like notepad document here with a bunch of stuff scrawled, and then I've got like a page and a half of all just the word puzzles we were doing. So,
Yeah, the word
This
puzzles
was
are a lot
great.
of fun too.
yeah, this is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
there you go.
Well, let me go ahead and finish, and then we can talk some more. Our players included Billy Chung, Dakota Smith, John Dos Passos, Steve Anderson, and Kent Blue, with yours truly as the keeper of the secret. We have a Discord server where you can chat with our other members. You can set up private games, and you can learn the finer arts of gameplay and game mastering. We provide audio-only versions of our shows free for you to download from Podbean and iTunes. If you'd like to help support our show, please visit our Patreon account. Just $1 a month helps us a lot. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and punch the bell icon for updates on our latest shows. And leave us some comments. We enjoy reading them and answering any questions you might have. This is Tom Rayleigh, together with all the members of our gaming club, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure into the universe of H.P. Lovecraft and the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. Until next time, good luck and good gaming.